What up, podcast party people? How you doing, friends? How you living? How you feeling? I'm feeling pretty good myself. Beautiful day in Northern California. 80 degrees here in Oakland. Get the fuck out of here. October 12th and it's 80 degrees. I was like, oh my God. It's amazing. Hanging out with the Twitch twats here. I'm on Twitch, so Twitch is watching me film the intro. Occasionally watch me film the actual podcast itself when my Wi-Fi doesn't suck, which it quite often does. But yeah, feeling good. Had a good weekend. Chilled out with the wife. Sat in the garage, and we started off in the. We started off in the garage both nights. It was a little cold over the weekend, so my wife was like, "I don't want to be out here. Birdo, it's too cold out here." So we just went to the garage right there, opened the thing. That way it blocks the wind, but you can see the outside world. We're just drinking, and I forget what we were doing. The first night we were. I forget what we were listening to, but on the second night we went down a whole The band The Police, rabbit hole. We went down a rabbit hole with The Police, and it was fucking awesome. I hadn't listened to those Police, just on Spotify, listened to like the top 10, top 15. Hadn't listened to the Police albums in so long. They're so freaking good. So we're just drinking. She's drinking her wine, and I'm drinking my Grey Goose and Baileys, and then I switched over to my porter. I got this new ossuary robust porter, ossuary, by this awesome company out here in Oakland called Ghost Town Brewing. Shit's killer. Definitely, you can tell it's a bunch of metalheads too. Like, they're fucking straight up, like, all the fucking cans are badass and skulls and dead shit. I'm like, fuck yeah, right up my alley. They got the porter. I don't know if they got a stout, but they got a porter, robust porter, and I'm all about the black beers, man. Stouts, porters. But going down that Police rabbit hole was killer. God, man, there's so many good songs. We are spirits in the material world. Our spirits. All that shit. I was loving it. I was loving listening to the Police. I used to love the Police when I was growing up. All that Roxanne, you don't have to put on a red light. Shit's killer. Sting was killer. They were punk and they were pissed off, and they were like, they definitely got way more poppier towards the end of their thing, but they started off all like gnarly and kind of pissed off about everything, which is good. I like that. Let's see, what else do we have? What else happened this weekend? Oh, you know what else has happened this weekend? So on Saturday, it was great because, we got this, it's not a new shower head, and I don't know if we just have a new setting or something, but, I was taking a shower like Saturday. Oh my God, let me tell you this whole great story. So Saturday, I'm going to skip this. I'm going to save the shower head story till after this. But on Saturday, I'd been talking with my kids, with my oldest son in particular, who I knew I was going to have to work on him. So about a week ago, I started planting in his head, hey, every Saturday I try and have some like father-son time. I spend, half an hour, and I'd been teaching my oldest son, who's now 16, how to drive. And so I either teach him how to drive, I take him to this abandoned parking lot and just like, hey, like, this is what you do, reverse, park into a place backwards. And then, or we work out, we got a little gym set up in the garage, so we'll work out together. But it's like just a time that I dedicate to being with both my kids, individually, and just spending some time with them, doing something, listening to music. The last time we worked out, I played the whole Slayer catalog for him. I said, hey, you need to learn, you should hear these songs. These are the best songs right here. So this is the shit right here. And I started telling him about the lyrics. I'm like, Dead Skin Mask is about Ed Gein. He used to cut people's skin off and then put the fucking shit on his face and wear it. He was like, whoa. I was like, yeah. I was like, dude had problems. So I gave him I did that. And then the week before, it was like, I did Ozzy. And I went down a whole Ozzy rabbit hole with him, so it was cool playing all the Ozzy songs. And then, but then this week I was like, how about we go down to my studio and jam? And you can jam on the drums, because there's a drum kit here. and your little brother can play bass because Wyatt's been playing bass. He's been playing cello for years, but then this school year, his Zoom band class has decided to have him play the electric bass. We got an electric bass at the house, and he's been working on it. He's actually fucking getting really good. 13 years old and just fucking crushing it. And so I talked to Wyatt, and I knew Wyatt would be into it. He was like, "Yeah, that sounds cool," but Xander was like, "No, what? I don't want to do that. No. What? Why? Why would I want to do that? I'm just like, it'll be fun, because it'll be fun. It'll be something different. We've driven a bunch of times. We've worked out a bunch of times. Now you can just do something different. It'll be with your brother and me, so it'll be fun. We'll make it a whole to-do, and I'll buy you some lunch at one of your favorite places." And so after about 5 days of working on it, I'm like, "What? No." I'd walk into the room. "What? What do you want? What do you want? Out. Get out." Finally, I got him to commit to it on the day of. He wouldn't commit to it even until there, but finally committed to it on the day of. I was like, "Okay, fine. I'll play for 15 minutes. And if I don't like it after 15 minutes, I'm going to stop." I'm like, "It's going to be fun. You're going to have a good time." So we came down here on Saturday, and I videotaped it, but just because I wanted to save it, I didn't want to put it up on socials or anything. I'd have to get their permission to do that. But we came down here, and what I didn't realize at the time is that I've just been looking at this drum kit that's been set up. I haven't actually gone and sat down behind the drum kit. I just assumed everything was set up. But it didn't have the kick drum pedals, and we didn't have a snare, so there's no snare. I got back there, and I bring him, and I'm like, "Fuck." I'm like, "Damn it." I'm like, "Dudes." He's like, "What am I gonna do?" I'm like, "Just, you know what? We'll have you hit the tom like it's a snare drum, and you can just do the hi-hat and just kind of play along, and then just do rolls and hit it, and just have fun with it. Like, just whatever. We'll just have a good time." So I got Wyatt hooked up, put Jared's bass on him, had to adjust the strap like super high, and I had taught Wyatt how to play Crazy Train about, I don't know, a month ago now. I had taught him how to play Crazy Train, and it was just killer. Like jamming it with him in his bedroom was amazing. But like playing Crazy Train with my two sons, like Xander on drums and Wyatt on bass, I swear to God, like I was on the verge of tears. I was just like, "Oh my God, I'm such a proud parent moment." Just proud dad. It was fucking cool. It was really fucking cool. And we hang out. We ended up playing for like 45 minutes, and Xander ended up having a little bit of fun. He didn't want to confess to having too much fun, because then that might mean that he has to come back. But he had fun. He had fun. And then yeah. It was a good time. I videotaped it, and it was just such a cool moment. I'm like teaching Wyatt some of these things kind of on the spot. You know what I mean? Like, they're kind of on the spot, everything. And, man, he picked it up fast. Like, he really picked it up fast. Like, I showed him, I totally didn't realize that I never showed him how to play the lead. The lead, which is no 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 on the bass. And so I just showed it to him, and he fucking learned it like super fast. And then we played it, and then I did the lead. I was like, wow. And he really enjoyed it. Wyatt was like, "I had a lot of fun. This was cool to jam with you and jam with his brother," and something. So I got Steve Lagudi coming. Steve Lagudi's coming back into town. You Bloody Lagudi coming back into town. Have him dig out the snare drum and the kick drum pedals. And now I realize now the reason is that we have all of we came home from the U.S. tour. We were supposed to immediately go to Europe. And so everything just remained packed. There was no reason to unpack everything and set it up in the studio. It was just going to be, and then the fucking pandemic hit, and fucking, now that shit's just all still in the storage, probably with all the stuff that was getting ready to be shipped. So I'm going to have him unpack that, get the snare drum out, get the kick drum pedals out, some sticks, so that we can have like an official jam. Probably need to do that anyway. I'm going to start jamming some point here. let's see. This is coming out. This podcast, No Fucking Regrets, is brought to you on the Gas Digital Network. GasDigitalNetwork.com. Go there and enter the code NFR. You can get 10% off of your subscription and the first 14 days for free. So it's a little trial period. You get it 14 days for free, 10% off the first month. It's a good deal, man. Subscribe to the podcast. I don't know how many subscribers I've got. I haven't even asked. I know it's been killing it on all the digital DSPs, and I know it's been killing it on the fucking YouTube. Holy shit. The fucking Dino episode blew the fuck up. Blew up. We got some people have been writing. I've got the No Fucking Regrets podcast email is officially up. If you want to email us and talk about episodes you loved or guests you'd like to see, it's No Effin' Regrets Podcast. That's right. No Effin' Regrets Podcast at gmail.com. Again, No Effin' Regrets Podcast at gmail.com. Matt Carter wrote, "Hey, Rob, awesome work with the podcast. Really enjoying them. My first ever real show was Slayer and Machine Head, the London Brixton Academy. Place went nuts from the first chord. Me and my mates, something, went to a Tower Records. I guess they ended up getting something signed by us later on. Hey, Shelby Clanton writes, hey, I absolutely love the podcast, and your music pretty much got me through the 3 worst years of my life. Wow, thank you for that. Just wanted to write in really quick and ask if you heard Max Cavalera's side project, Killer Be Killed. They're so great. Have a new album coming out soon. I think it'd be great to get them on the podcast. New album, which they need because a supergroup there is phenomenal. Anyways, also might be hard to get him as a guest, but worth a try is Tim Lambesis. Anyway, keep it up, Rob. Huge fan. Hope to see you live one day after all this craziness. Eddie Cantu says, Bay Area suggestions. Rob, we always see you bringing the thrashers of the Bay Area, but never the sludge stoner scene. Please consider Scott Kelly of Neurosis or Matt Pike of High on Fire Sleep. I can do that. I totally was thinking I need to reach out to Matt Pike. I don't know. I'd have to have the label get through Scott Kelly. I don't know if I have his number anymore. I did for a while, but yeah. But yeah, people have been writing in. I've been reading through the comments. You know, I go through about once a week I go, I need to turn this off. I need to turn my Safari off. About once a week I go through the YouTube comments and I read through what people are saying and who they're asking for. So I appreciate all that stuff. But speaking of Killer Be Killed, perfect timing with the request for that, because this podcast is also brought to you by Nuclear Blast. Nuclear Blast, crushing it. Metal label to the stars, like myself. They got Machine Head. They got all kinds of good stuff. And they got 2 new releases coming out. The new Killer Be Killed record is dropping November 20th. And there is a Carcass EP dropping on October 30th called Despicable. So check it out. This is your chance to win some free shit, man. Here on No Fucking Regrets, we're going to be giving away 2 LPs. That means vinyl, suckers. Of the new Killer Be Killed record out on November 20th. And same with the new Carcass EP. Can do the same for the vinyl. You can win some vinyl. So this is a contest. First people to write into No Effin' Regrets Podcast at gmail.com will win. But you got to answer the question, all right? Name all 4 members of Killer Be Killed. No Googling that shit. No Googling. Like, you got to know that shit. And what is the name of the Carcass album that starts with the letter H? Okay, those are your 2 questions. Name all 4 members of Killer Be Killed. Name the Carcass album cover that starts with the letter H. First people to write in with the correct answers will win vinyl. Here, just write in. My guy will forward it, that shit to Nuclear Blast. They will sit right in with your, you're going to have to write in with your, well, if you send your email address, I guess I can just do it. But you can include your address. That way it can come that way. All right. So boom, Nuclear Blast, crushing it for you. All right. We got a new sponsor here on No Fucking Regrets. New underwriter. It's not sponsor. Underwriter on No Fucking Regrets called IP Vanish. Let's take a second to talk about our brand new sponsor, IP Vanish. IP Vanish is an incredibly important tool that will help you protect your privacy online. I don't know how you spend your time online. Actually, I do. But what you do when you're online isn't my business, and it's nobody else's either. If you don't want cyber criminals to steal your data or marketers to track what you're buying, you need IP Vanish. IP Vanish is a VPN or virtual private network that creates a private connection from your computer, phone, or tablet to the internet, which protects your identity and encrypts your data. VPNs are great for protecting you from hackers, especially when you're using public Wi-Fi that isn't secure. With IP Vanish, your real IP address disappears so you can't be tracked online. You get fast, unrestricted internet. IP Vanish has more than 1,500 servers in 70 countries. So with IP Vanish, you're never going to get stuck with slow site or video that doesn't load. But what really makes IP Vanish great is that it is the only VPN with 24/7 customer support. Bottom line, a VPN is something everyone will be using soon enough. So check out IP Vanish to start protecting your data and privacy online. Plans start at just $3.25 a month by going to ipvanish.com/Flynn. That's 75% off their regular price just by going to ipvanish, VANISH.com/ my last name, FLYNN. Start protecting yourself online today with IP Vanish. I had a wild jerk off this weekend. I've discovered this thing in my shower. I don't even know. We've been in this house that I've lived in for like 5 years. I've had the same shower head for at least 2 or 3 years. And just in the most recent like 6 weeks or so, I've discovered, maybe because I tilted it this different way now, that there's a certain area where if I'm taking a shower and if I just kind of back up right to this 1 hour, there's like it's not like my shower is like it's like one of those handles and you can adjust it so there's a bunch of different stream settings. So one of them's like a super strong, center thing that's too much. Then there's another one that's almost like a mist, and there's another one that's like like a regular shower, but it's wide and it's pretty powerful, and it almost kind of stings. I backed up a few weeks ago now, and I was just washing myself, and all of a sudden it just kind of hit the head of my cock. And it just stung. I was like, whoa, that felt good. I was like, holy shit. So I just kind of went back to it, and I was like, woo, that felt really good. I was like, holy fuck. Ended up, no one was there at the house. I was all alone. I was just like, I'm going to hang out here for a while and fucking rub one out. Which is what I did. So this weekend I was like, I wanted to go take a shower. I worked out. I was fucking hiked the fucking dogs for all day. So I was just like, all right, ate dinner, kids left, went outside. Wife was like, I'm going to do the dishes. And I was like, all right, I'll take a quick shower while you're doing that. I just went in to take a shower. Literally, just keep in mind, I just went in to take a shower. I had no intention of jerking off or anything. And all of a sudden, man, that fucking little area, it's just like right in the center of the shower stream. Woo! I was like, whoa. Did it again. I was like, can I do this? And I was like, nobody's here. Jennifer's washing the dishes. She's not going to come in here. And I was like, fuck it. I was like, fuck it. But then it was like, you're kind of like men, you know what I'm talking about. If you're jerking off in the shower and your wife's home, there's always a risk. There's a risk involved. She may come in. And that's happened. That's happened to me before. And I was like, it's not so much like she doesn't get mad at me. I'm not embarrassed, but it's just like awkward. So, I'm sitting there, I'm doing it, and finally, like, I get the conditioner, and I get get out, and I start going to town, and then I'm just like, okay, finally, you get done, and you're just like, all right, dodged a bullet there, but it was just like, fuck, I didn't plan on that happening. It just happened. It was going good. I'd already had a couple of beers. I was like, ooh, I'm in the right headspace to do this right now. I'm going to roll the dice. Jerk off in the shower. Hopefully the wife doesn't come in. And she didn't. Score. I knew that we wouldn't be having relations because it's her little friend that visits once a month was around. So I knew we wouldn't be having relations. And so it was fine. I took care of myself. It was good. I was in the best mood. Oh. Anyway, that was my weekend. My weekend was a good weekend. I had a good weekend chilling. And I tell you what, you're going to be stoked with this guest. You're going to be stoked with my guest here. I got a good guest. Mark from Chimera brought it. We go deep. We go into all kinds of stuff. But if you've never heard Chimera, and shame on you if you've never heard Chimera. I've toured with this band. We've toured with this band so many times. Love these boys. And Robb and Summer Breeze DeVries and Mark and everybody. Anyway, check out this. This is from their first album. This is a banger called Severed. Loud. Banger riff right there. That banger. The banger, friends. This is a song called Rizzo that they wrote with Stefan from the Deftones, who they befriended while they were recording this record. Next riff is killer. This is not the riff I'm thinking of. That one. I bet you that's a Stefan riff. Another banger riff right there. This is off of the album The Impossibility of Reason. This is a song called Cleansation. This is Down Again. Cool song. Melodic. Kind of Alice in Chainsy. Pure hatred. Here, let's get to the song. I love simple riffs with double bass like that. So good. remains. Vocals. Here's Resurrection. It's a hard riff right there. It's a hard riff right there.
Failures was never said. It was not that killed us, makes us stronger. But we were dead, so will we.
Oh, this song's cool. I like this little guitar intro. This is Year of the Snake. But the ultimate Chimera song, this. Power Trip, motherfuckers. Power Trip. Ugh. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. The man who sung that line right there. The mighty, mighty Mark Hunter. Marcus O'Hunterus.
Hell yeah, excuse me, General Flynn, reporting for duty.
Look at this. I love this vibe. I'm loving the vibe. So
Man, the alien space vape den, as Mr. Spacuzza donned it so eloquently.
Shout out to Spacuzza.
Definitely.
I love him. The fucking ham Adams and the ham and tequila.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, definitely.
Do you remember this?
I do.
Do you remember this story?
I absolutely do. That's bringing it back, as they say. Yeah. Drinks with meat. Alcoholic drinks mixed with meat. I think there was some Corona as well with some meat, if I remember correctly.
It was deli ham. You guys came to the you guys played the outdoors at the Pound in San Francisco on the Danzig tour. I think you had Himza on the bill.
Right.
And we were raging after the show. Like we fucking, oh my God, we fucking raged hella hard. And at some point, your boy Chris Spacuzza said, we should take ham and put it inside the Sam Adams. We had Sam Adams beers.
Oh, okay. That's it.
So it became Ham Adams. So we were drinking the beers.
Got it.
And like, it didn't really do much to change the flavor of the beer. It's just that when you got to the end of the beer, all of the salt and sugar had kind of been dissipated, and it was just like just eating a scab. Your last sip of beer would be like drinking a scab. You're like, fuck.
Out of curiosity, when is the last time you ate a scab? So you have this reference for your palate.
I don't know. That was just that's what my very hammered Chimera bus brain.
Yeah. That's amazing.
That's what it, and then we started doing ham and tequila shots, and then I busted out Riot's Swords and Tequila, but it became ham and tequila carry us through the night. So, no idea.
We've had some crazy nights together, and I think the most epic one was definitely the moshing between buses and the crowd surfing and
the Monday Night Mosh.
Keep them up. From bus to bus, full on crowd surf. That was like, that's a dream come true for a dude like me. That was so fun.
That was amazing. You guys crowd surfed me to the back of your bus and then threw me on LaMarco while he was playing video games. Like, what the fuck, bro? And then you picked me up, carried me back over to my bus, like all like 6 dudes. Like, oh my God, it was fucking ridiculous. That was one of the funnest nights. One of my funnest nights on tour, genuinely. Like,
absolutely, hands down.
I will never
Chicago,
forget
right?
Monday night.
Chicago,
Chicago?
House of Blues. I feel it was down in that parking lot. You know how we're all kind of. I could be wrong on that, but I feel like we were down in that parking lot for some reason.
Okay. I can't remember where it was. I just remember that it was rad.
Absolutely. Like, it doesn't matter where it was. It just happened.
We were hammered and having a great. We were making the best. You guys were like, Monday nights usually suck, so we turn it into Monday Night Mosh. That's the best.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I remember we busted a table on that tour as well. The moshing got too intense, and we wound up busting our kitchen table in the bus, and that was a big ordeal. But hey, that's like, we got to have those Motley Crue moments. Like, you only get to go around that trip once, man. So you got to go out and have fun. And that you guys definitely helped us have some fun out there. Like, you're definitely a great wrangler for entertainment.
Was Monday Night Mosh, that was on the Ashes Road Rage, the Road Rage tour that we did? Was that night?
No, I believe it was further. Yes. Yes, you're correct. I'm sorry.
The second one. The second
correct.
one.
Yeah, you're correct. Yes, 100%.
Right on.
Yeah.
That was a good time.
When you said Ashes, I got thrown because I just listened to Lamb of God a bunch last week, and I'm like, still like in Ashes of the Wake mentality. So when you said Ashes, my mind went like, now I'm totally putting it back together. So I've been going on album binges with a whole bunch of bands lately and listening to like as much as their catalog as I possibly can. Like, like start to finish, like going on like journeys. So I've been doing A to Z. So last week was we did Lamb of God, and then this week's Motley Crue. So we just finished Girls, Girls, Girls today. Got Dr. Feelgood tomorrow, and kind of rediscovering music.
Every day you listen to an album. Is this your Twitch?
Yeah, like Monday through Friday, we kind of just get together and listen to some stuff, and then I'll still listen to music Saturday and Sunday. But basically, it was a great way for me to reconnect with music. And I had like a lot of, I guess I hate using the word PTSD because it's such a serious term, but leaving the music industry definitely affected me to a point where I didn't even want to listen to music much. So this was a good way for me to get back into rediscovering things I loved and like bands that I love, but maybe I haven't listened to in like 15 years or something, right? Like, oh shit, I haven't listened to Facelift in 8 years. Like, I got to put this on. It's turning 30 this year, and that kind of started it. It was Facelift. Wow. And then, so here we are now, like 20 weeks later, and, whatever it is, whatever letter of the alphabet I'm on, M. So, but it's been fun.
Oh, is that how you're doing it alphabetically?
Yeah. Just went through like A through Z. So
Alice
like picked a band, Alice in Chains, and we did Black Sabbath, Crowbar. Kind of trying to mix it up. Def Leppard, went on a whole Def Leppard trip. I'm like, man, I don't even think I listened to those first albums before, like the very first one. Yeah, I don't think I'd ever heard it.
Oh my God, On Through the Night and shit. Those are great. High and Dry. Those are rockers.
Yeah, so for me, it was great because I'm also discovering on top of rediscovering. And, sometimes when you lose touch with something like that you're passionate about, whether it be music or anything, man, it could be like bike riding or something, right? Like, something has to spark it. So it started off just listening to shit on Twitter and talking about it. And then I'm like, well, I'm listening to it by myself, kind of talking in an echo chamber. So that's when I started doing the Twitch thing. And I'm like, I'll just hang out with fans and let's listen to these albums together. And it could be like an early morning party thing. And, then it evolved. So it's been cool. Good way to get back into music and also keep ourselves occupied during these weird times. Right.
Totally. That's killer. I like your this is your Twitch setup, right? Like this is the vibe.
I have
you got
no
for
other
Twitch.
setup. Yeah, I have no
Yeah.
other setup.
It's awesome. Yeah, it's
I
killer.
rock it like this, and sometimes we can change the colors. So when we rock some "Shout at the Devil," I had the background all flaming looking, and so it looks like a concert. I get stuck on YouTube, and I watch these like. They're like way younger than us, right? They're like 18-year-old kids, and they have the dopest gaming room setups I've ever seen. And I'm like, I want that. I want those RGB lights, and I'm like a little kid with all this stuff. So it's fun.
What was the result of your Motley Crue test?
So right now, I think I love the just the way you start off with the Motley Crue journey, Livewire. I think that's one of the best album openers of all time. It's so exciting. I loved when we used to jam it on stage, on tour.
Yes.
And it's a good album. And then Shout at the Devil comes on, and it's like banger after banger after banger. And then it's like Theater of Pain. Yeah, this is a rough one. Really rough. Is. But
it's got of course, Smoking in the Boys Room, which
classic.
What's
you don't
that?
like it? You don't like that one? I think it's a classic. It's like a fun party song.
It's a classic. It's just that my memory of it is tainted by the enormous, I was just bombarded with images of Vince Neil in Pink, and I was like,
okay.
I've got PTSD from that. So.
I was more freaked out by Michael Berryman, in the video, the actor from The Hills Have Eyes that's in that video. He's kind of got the really interesting face, and it as a kid that kind of scared me, right? And I guess that's why he was so popular in horror films, but as an adult you understand more. But
what's the banger on that record? Because they had Home Sweet Home, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Home Sweet Home is fucking great song. That's a great
it, really song. I don't think we were actually in the whole stream, we were that's the first time we're skip it next. People were in the stream literally hit the next song. That's never happened. So girls didn't have suffer the same treatment, Wild Side rules, the title track rules. After that, I think they kind of phone it in. I don't know.
Yeah,
but maybe.
Yeah.
But then I'm excited for tomorrow because I know tomorrow's going to rock. Dr. Feelgood just rips.
Feelgood.
Yeah, it's just a fun album. Classic. Sounds.
It's going to be weird when you get to the what's the other singer they had there for a while.
So I do have to confess, we tap out. I don't do some bands will do the whole, but there's when I hit Iron Maiden, I'm I got to draw a line in the sand here, right? I can't listen to. You
can't go into the Blaze area. You can't go to the Blaze Bailey.
Yeah, area. So I'm okay, Bruce era 1. Okay, that works.
Stop it. Not Bruce era 2 either, huh?
Yeah. I'm just I got 5 days, right? I'm trying to fit. Right. I try to put 5 albums in. Sometimes I'll do more. Judas Priest. They were a band I really needed to take time with. I mean, this might sound ridiculous, but I'm only familiar with Painkiller, that album. That was the album. I know. That was the album that
Marcus O'Hunterous.
And then besides the hits, I didn't know any of it. So I went on that journey, and I had a blast. I really got into that band, and I was excited to discover them. And besides the hits, right? And then I can hear the influences in Slayer or any other band we listen to, right? Yeah, it's so it was cool for me to discover that, even though I know it exists. It's someone saying I love horror movies, but I still haven't seen Halloween.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there's so many. I mean, it's funny because for me, I guess I heard Judas Priest. I heard the first record I think I heard by them was Screaming for Vengeance. And then I went backwards, and all the hits up until then, there's a lot of hits on that record. You got Another Thing Coming, stuff like that. I mean, kind of what catapulted them into the stratosphere. But there's so many great heavy rockin' songs before that. To me, Unleashed in the East, it's like a best of, but it's live.
Right.
And that kind of encapsulates every great Judas Priest song up until that point.
What really impressed me too was they keep you guessing now they're going to be a 80s pop band right after this metal album. It was very bizarre how they keep, now we're going to be really metal. And then, then they go back to rock. So it was just interesting, how they kept me guessing as, someone just discovering them, I guess,
That's
truly
funny
discovering them.
Yeah, that's funny because like I just assume that everybody knows all those songs, but you know, like you're a lot younger than me, and so like your starting point is always different, and then
Right.
you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
maybe you just didn't go down the rabbit hole for whatever reason, and you know to hear you, you know now all these years later
Yeah. It's
rediscovering
funny.
that's fucking awesome. I mean, you
Yeah.
think about like the Ripper, that song, The Ripper. I mean, 20 Slayer songs are written from that written from that song, that
And
one
I
song.
hear it all now, and man, I loved the production. I loved the guitar tones. I loved the solos. They were all just like, oh wow, like they hit me right away, right? You know, you feel it, like you know you're listening to talented dudes, and that was
Yeah.
just my experience with it. And so yeah, besides like breaking the law, you know, stuff you see on Beavis and Butthead. And I loved Painkiller. That's my entry point. Like that video, I saw that on Headbangers Ball. I'm like, I heard that drum beat in the beginning, and I'm like, phew, that's me. Like that spoke to my soul as a kid. And I guess as a younger, we don't have that so much access to the rabbit hole plus funds, and then it's like you kind of want to get newer stuff that's coming out. So I think that's probably
Right.
why I didn't go back. But certain bands, like I had to go back. Like, why is Metallica always wearing a Venom shirt? Or then why is Slayer wearing a Venom shirt? Why is Megadeth wearing a Venom shirt? What is this Venom band? They're an older band. Well, I got to discover
Right.
them. So then you got to go find the store that actually sells a Venom cassette. That was a
Venom
challenge
cassette.
in its own right. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
In
that's how I got
Cleveland,
it.
no
In
doubt.
Cleveland, in the suburbs.
Yeah.
You know, I live in Leave It to Beaverland, and I had to go like, you know, a couple of towns over to be able to get it.
Yeah, I mean that must have been a trip. I mean, I think about that and I mean how and you know it's funny, I was talking to somebody else about this too, about how important Headbangers Ball was. You know, if you weren't in, you know, like for me, I was in the suburbs of the Bay Area. I was like 45 minutes 45 miles away from like the city, you know, where stuff was happening. But you know, I was a teenager who happened to be growing up right as Metallica was starting and Exodus was starting, and I could go to a fucking club when I was 18 years old and like see Metallica and see Exodus and, you know, shit like that. And like, you know, when Headbangers Ball came out, it seemed so far behind the curve to us
Mm,
because we were like, you know, I'd seen so many punk bands and hip hop bands and metal bands. And, you know, you kind of forget like how important it was for the rest of, you know, the world and even America to, that it brought, you know, sure, it brought us plenty of fucking horrible bands.
right.
Like you had to wait for, you know, six shitty poser bands to get to like the one
Yeah.
good thrash band or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I love Smooth Up In Ya, but man, I just get me to the Slayer video once, please.
Right,
You
right,
always have to sit like, come on, you guys can play heavier stuff than Bullet Boys. I know you got it in you. And then they
right.
would. You're like, finally, you
Yeah.
get all excited.
Totally. Well, it didn't start out that way. You know, like it started out kind of just mainly like a dabble into Judas Priest and it dabble into stuff. And then finally, after a couple of years, it turned into like you'd see Slayer, which was fucking amazing. And like we were all like, oh my God, this is fucking incredible.
You'd be probably better memory at this than I, but does Slayer come in like in the Ricky Rackman era, or is it still there during Adam Curry era?
No, I mean, they didn't start playing Slayer until like they wouldn't play Rain and Blood. You know, they wouldn't play South of Heaven. You know, they'd play like a little audio clip, but it was still, I think, it was too edgy. Like it was just
Right,
too
right, right,
fucking
right.
extreme. Like they were fucking terrified of Slayer. They were like, we don't want this shit. You know, and then I think by the time it got to Seasons, it was like, okay, you know, you know, like this is a high quality professional video and we can do this.
Yeah, the Egypt one, yeah. The
It's a
pyramids
fucking
and stuff.
badass video.
Yeah, that's so great, right?
Yeah. I mean, think about that. Like you went to Egypt. No one goes to Egypt anymore
That's
to
that
film a
fuck you
fucking
money,
video.
like from Wolf of Wall Street. Fun coupons.
Right,
Like,
right,
we're going to
right.
the pyramids. We're Slayer. That's how it makes
That's
me
right.
feel.
Yeah,
It's the
it's a
top of the
sick
world.
video. Is that your starting point with Slayer also?
No, actually, so my starting point with Slayer is I'm young. I'm 8 years old. My neighbor has the older brother that I always refer to like Todd from Beavis and Butthead. You know, he's got the quintessential Hesher brother, you know, the jean jacket and all the back patches and everything. and he listened to metal. At the time, I'm like an 80s pop kid. I love Michael Jackson, Thompson Twins, Duran Duran, like all this stuff. That's my shit. And I hear coming from his room, and I'm just like, what is that? Like, there was something in me that like I had to learn more. And he gets all excited. He's showing me he's got the tape collection where, you know, we used to have the tapes where it was zipper and then you open it up, but then you can close it and then flip it over. Holy shit, there's another 36. So like I got into metal through him, and bands I started off with were Slayer, also Beastie Boys, and a lot of rap too, in like that same era, Def Jam stuff, LL Cool J, Run DMC. So like 86, 87, 88 is my entry to most of that like stuff, with the exception of Priest. Metallica I was late to the game on. He didn't listen to Metallica for whatever reason.
Was fucking, that first Beastie Boys, that's 86. That was fucking massive. I mean, inescapable anywhere.
No matter what.
Right to party.
What your age.
Brooklyn. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you were grabbing onto that. That's cool. I mean, I love that you just, I love you just threw out Thompson Twins. Like, dude, I love that too. I love Duran Duran.
Yeah.
I love the Duran Duran. I still love Duran Duran.
I have a great playlist on my Spotify that's like 6 hours of just all my favorite 80s bangers, right? Just love them. I love that music still. And yeah, I think that I like the songwriting of the era. I like the production of the era. I love the big synthetic drum sounds and how clean everything is. It's just nice.
Is that so? Michael Jackson, is that like Thriller era?
Yeah, I got to see him in that. I went to the Jackson 5 reunion tour in the stadium in Cleveland. I had to have been, let's see, 77, 84. Was this 84, 85? I think in mid 84. So, wow, 7.
That's fucking awesome. Was it killer?
Yeah. But the weirdest thing I remember about it is, and this is going to sound so weird, but my most visual memory, we had to take it's called the RTA, and it's like basically kind of like the L in Chicago, you know, like a little
subway,
but above ground. Mm-hmm. And so I just remember getting off the L, and it was a giant billboard for Texas Chainsaw Massacre poster. And it scared the shit out of me. It was like part 2. They were, and it was like the Breakfast Club scene. They're like all posed as the Breakfast Club. That terrified me. I don't remember much about the show. I'm like too little, but that image stuck with me in riding on the L. I have pictures. Dude, like I would get in so much trouble now because like I was wearing blackface. Like I had pictures. I wanted to dress like Michael Jackson. So I paint my skin. I got the glove. I got the jacket. I got the beat it jacket with the zippers. Wow. Yeah, I'm not gonna show you.
Yeah, no, don't show anybody. Don't show anybody that. Okay.
It exists, but
don't ever scan it.
Yeah. It's a different era back then, right? But like, if I scan that now, I'm gonna have to go hide for the rest of my life. But
yeah, I mean, you were feeling Michael Jackson. Like you wanted to be Michael.
I did.
Could you do the moonwalk and all that shit?
So I don't know if you remember that show. What was it called? Putting on the Lips or something. It was like a lip syncing show, and people would like lip sync as a contest. I used to do that shit all the time when I was a kid. I had a problem. I don't know if it's a problem, but yeah, like I wanted to be Superman, and like I would get mad if like I was in normal clothes and my mom didn't call me Clark. Like
that's amazing.
So like when I'm a method actor, I guess, at heart.
You called me Mark, Mom.
It's Clark.
Hello.
And I would take her hair gel and try to make those spit curl with my hair, and I was way into it. So I think I'm a method actor at heart, I guess. If I were an actor, I would go like I would become that character, right? I would go full on. That's
fucking rad. That's awesome. But you don't remember the concert though, huh?
I don't.
You went there like with the fucking red leather jacket and the glove and all that.
Oh, of course, yeah. We used to buy the jacket at Merry-Go-Round. I remember that. remember the store I bought the jacket at. I got it at the mall, Parental Mall.
Is that
merry-go-round? They
so
sell the Z Cavaricis.
I'm not familiar with that. I don't know what that is.
Z
That's just a
Cavaricis.
store.
No, Z Cavaricis were like a brand of jeans like in the 80s and 90s that I guess like kids my age were way into, you know, like
Okay.
14, I don't know. How old are you again? You're
I'm
over
53.
53. Yeah, I was going to say I remember you had your 50th birthday party. So you're 10 years older than I am.
Yeah, okay.
So that makes sense.
But you're let's talk about you dressing as Michael Jackson and going to Michael Jackson to the Jackson. Is he doing Michael Jackson song, or it's all Jackson 5 songs?
No, he does both. That's
solo,
what I remember. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a reunion tour with the Jackson 5, like, and then he's out, and that's Thriller era. It might have been 85. I mean, I'm not going to Google it, but yeah, it's that era. It's and yeah, I have some awesome photos. And I used to have the doll. He had like Barbie type dolls with the outfits that were interchangeable. I had that.
Super creepy.
Yeah.
His face was so creepy in that.
Yeah. I mean, I have vivid memories of like getting like not bullied, but like kind of made fun of by my next door neighbor because he had like Transformers and I had a Michael Jackson doll. Metalheads right now are like, man.
Like, this isn't what I signed up for, man. No, this is what you signed up for, motherfucker.
Yeah, absolutely,
no fucking regrets.
The generals hung out with me enough to know I'm a nerd.
I mean, dude, when that fucking Michael Jackson record, when Thriller hit, I mean, I loved Off the Wall. Like, I was super, I grew up, I'm a metalhead at heart to the death, but my family, I wasn't allowed to listen to rock music when I was growing up. Like I grew up with R&B and, primarily black music, Chaka Khan, Commodores, Earth, Wind and Fire, and then I could listen to the nice Beatles, but I couldn't listen to the hippie Beatles.
Right.
Like the hippie Beatles is off limits. And then just whatever pop music of the day that was on the radio, Carpenters and shit like that. And disco. But, so I get it, like that was, Michael Jackson was the big, that was fucking 80 million records sold in like a year and a half period or some shit, like there was every kid from that era. If you were a young kid, that was like your fucking idol. Like everybody loved him.
Absolutely. And I think that, it's like ever since I was like, I don't know, 3 or 4, whenever you start to be mobile and entertaining your family more often, I'm like trying to be an entertainer, a front man. I'm trying to sing. They have me singing like Oak Ridge Boys songs. I remember all this like weird stuff like that. And so I see Michael Jackson and like, I kind of, I guess maybe subconsciously recognize he's great and I want to be that as well. And like, I guess I'm just constantly trying to emulate something that I might become in the future, weirdly enough. Right. It's like, I was just, same like music, I'm always surrounded by music. So from a young age. So
plus he had Eddie Van Halen. He got Eddie Van Halen on Thriller.
Yeah.
So that automatically crossed him over. Like even if you didn't like that, you're like, well, he's got Eddie Van Halen on that. That's pretty fucking cool. And it was a sick solo. So it was like, okay.
And he's working with Toto, right? The guys in Toto on some of the songs.
Was it really?
Yeah, they wrote some of the songs.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, believe so.
Oh shit! I don't think I ever heard that. Yeah. I know it was Quincy Jones. I didn't know who the band was. Yeah.
Am I thinking of the right album? It's got to be. But yeah, some of the songwriters. There's one song that now that I say that, if you go and listen to it, you'll be like, oh shit, that is a Toto song with Michael Jackson singing. Son of a gun. I don't want to be that guy, but yeah.
No, it's okay. No, look it up. Now I want to know because I've never heard that.
Human Nature.
Human Nature.
Hold on. Yeah. Oh, okay.
The song Human Nature.
Human Nature. Okay, here's what I may be mistaken. The track's produced by Quincy Jones and performed by Toto, with Michael Jackson performing vocals, and that's on Thriller. And I feel like there's another song too, but Yeah, they're involved in that album. So yeah,
Crazy.
the rock connection is there, right? And
Yeah. I've
it
never
crosses over.
fucking heard that. That's awesome.
And
I mean,
go
those
back and
dudes are some
listen to it,
talented motherfuckers. Yeah.
right?
Now, I mean, like I think about it because like now I'm thinking about like Africa and stuff, and it's like, you know, that guitar sound in particular is what I'm going, oh yeah, like I can hear that now.
Yeah, it's interesting stuff. And man, that shuffle on Rosanna, the drum
Yeah.
shuffle, like that's king to me. Like
I gotta go back. I pretty much hated them back then. Like I was like, fuck this shit. Like them
Sure,
and
sure.
Asia. Techno and Asia, I hated. It was just like everywhere. I couldn't get away from it. I was like, fuck these guys. I should probably go back and listen to it because I'd probably like it now. But back when I was a young thrasher, I was just
No,
like,
yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I went down a total rabbit hole. Like we saw some like just people doing covers of Africa, and I'm like, these like two guys in a bar. It just stumbled on, you know, how you get the suggestions on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, why not? So I'll see what these guys sound like, and it was just like, holy cow! I could hear harmonies that I really didn't notice before on the album, and then like I was able to pick them out differently. So I go back and listen to the song. I'm like, oh shit! So I don't know. I kind of went on a Toto binge for a little bit, and I discovered like there's videos of the drummer playing the shuffle beat for Rosanna, and I just like I started off as a drummer, and so I kind of drums are the first instrument I gravitate towards when I'm listening to music or rhythm, and so I watched that, and then you learn about all the other stuff they were involved in, and I think I learned about the Michael Jackson connection in the studio, though. One of our producers knew it, like he was like an encyclopedia of that kind of stuff. But yeah, good band.
Speaking of which, we just touched on that Eddie Van Halen played on the song "Beat It," and we're here doing this for anybody who's listening in the future. You know, this is the day after or 2 days after Eddie Van Halen passed away, which was the shock. I mean,
Yeah, unexpected.
complete shock. I mean, I don't know about you, but for me, as long as I can remember, Van Halen has been in my life. And I did a whole podcast where I talked about how my friend got a new refrigerator, and we took the cardboard box on the outside of the refrigerator and we cut guitars out of it, and then took ink pens and drew strings on it. And then we'd sit there and like listen to Van Halen and air guitar with these guys. What's your connection with Van Halen? Was that a big band for you in your life at any point?
Yeah. Before that, I just wanted to comment on, I really enjoyed your Eruption rendition. I watched that. But
Right on. Thank you.
I think my entry point is it has to be 1984, because I just jump. Like that's probably the thing that sticks out to me that I remember the most. And I think that I really started to get into them actually, and this is going to piss off everybody, but like the Hagar era, just because it was like more in my face. They were like really pushing the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge album. And like, I remember there was just like a lot, I liked the guitar work on that, but I remember the David Lee Roth songs as a kid. And I actually feel like I knew David Lee Roth solo stuff more than I even did some of the Van Halen tracks because of my age. Like he's making it big on his own, like Just a Gigolo and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, I got into him like, later, but what drew me to him was a buddy of mine that also played drums, like watching him like really get in the pocket and play some of that shit. I'm like, man, like I didn't realize like how awesome some of the groove was in Van Halen. And then then once I switched gears from drums to guitar as a musician, that's of course when you really start, of course, Eddie's just great, but once you've actually played the instrument and understand what it takes to pull off that sorcery, then you really start to understand. So it just took me a long time. Again, I think just circumstance of how it's being pushed by marketing and my age and what I'm being shown.
Yeah, what you're seeing on. I mean, you're seeing MTV. That's kind of like your main source of music, right? Like
at the time, absolutely.
Probably more even so than radio, right?
Radio, yeah, no, I think at one point I couldn't even listen to that because that would have been uncool with my now that I'm starting to get into metal. I can watch UMTV Raps, I can watch Headbangers Ball, and like other than that, no way, you can't touch it.
Fat Five Freddy,
oh
Fat
man,
Five Freddy,
Public Enemy, Anthrax, like I love that era. Like I wish it was somehow still like Limp Bizkit. But anyway, I digress.
Yeah. But you missed that combination that was happening at that time.
It happened, man. Like, we talk about Slayer and Beastie Boys. That's 86. They're together on License to Ill carries on that album.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that's another thing that made that cool, right? Like that made it fucking cool for thrash people. Like, oh shit, Kerry King's on it. And then Public Enemy samples Slayer from Channel Zero. And
Absolutely.
you're like, okay, Public Enemy's cool.
Yep. KMFDM, that's how I got into that band because they sampled Slayer as well. I'm like, oh, so there's an industrial band that likes metal. Yeah, like anyone that could like cross over, right? I had to get my hands on him. And Rick Rubin, I think, obviously responsible for a lot of that stuff. And like even Ice-T sampling Sabbath and on Freedom of Speech album, The Iceberg. Yeah, the first song. First Black Sabbath song.
What's he sample on there? Oh, does he? Oh, right.
Black Sabbath, yeah.
And he samples War Pigs on the first album, yeah.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, all that stuff's cool, right? Like Tone Loc taking Van Halen, right? So I mean, Two Live Crew taking Van Halen. By Seven Bizos, they took Fuck Shop.
Okay.
Yeah, they take.
Ain't talking about love.
Yeah, and then Two Live Crew sampled quite a bit of rock.
That one.
It's on As Nasty as They Want to Be. Yeah.
Okay. That's the big one, right? With the Hey, We Want Some Pussy and all that.
Me So Horny. That's the one that got banned.
Yeah. And just nibble my dick like a rat does cheese. Hey, we want some pussy.
You were talking about how your parents didn't want you listening to certain types of music.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my era. I had to hide NWA Straight Outta Compton. I had to hide As Nasty as They Want to Be. I had to hide Easy Does It. And like once like all that started getting on the news, Ice-T, I had all those tapes, like, and that shit started getting on the news that like it was bad. And my mom comes and looks at my tapes. She like, but here's the thing, she throws them in the garbage.
Oh my God.
So I just went right into the garbage, took them out of the insert so it looked like they were still in the garbage, and then I hid the cassettes themselves in a vent.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
so I could still.
You left the case in the garbage.
Correct.
and the L card.
Correct. Funny. Yeah, so I could still listen to all that stuff.
So she didn't even talk to you or anything? She didn't like say anything? She just came in and like cleaned your fucking room and threw them away, and then like you were just not supposed to notice that?
Well, no, she was yelling at me for having it, and then of course,
gotcha.
Like, why do you have this? And I'm like, I'm swearing more and stuff, and I'm starting to act out. So of course, it's the music's fault, not being just a punk teen.
Right.
But
that's good stuff.
Yeah, but I hid it, and I had it, and I kept it, and that. But I was just surprised, like how much hip hop, especially going back to it, samples metal or rock or classic rock, and it's just I really miss that era. It was a good stuff. Yeah,
man. I mean, that's definitely my era as well. I'm a little bit before that too, but I fucking I still love hip hop. We've had, we share from time to time. We share our latest hip hop find, and which is cool because I still love it. Like I still listen to it, and I don't listen to the old stuff. Like I don't even remember when the last time I listened to Two Live Crew was. Like I just move on.
Sure, I'll go down some memory lane. The last like real old school band I threw on was I threw on that Black and White Ghetto Boys tape. Like some. Man, I rocked the shit out of that. And I still know every word. And then I start laughing to myself because I'm like, I was singing this at 12. And I'm like some of those lyrics, like her body's beautiful. So I'm thinking rape. She shouldn't have had her curtains open. Shit, that's her fate. And I'm thinking myself as a 12-year-old, I'm like, I think I know why my mom threw those tapes away.
Right. Like
I
that's
get
pretty
it
out of
now,
hand for a
Mom. I
12-year-old.
get it. Yeah, all those lyrics I like the Two Live Crew stuff, and like not understanding it. Like even Beastie Boys,
Yeah.
as innocent as the girlie was deaf. Like I was so naive. I thought deaf meant she couldn't hear.
Right. Right.
Like so, like
But you know what? I think in some ways though, like in your defense, like at your age, you probably didn't know what any of that meant. You just like the beat, you like the flow, you like the, you know what I mean? Like,
that's what I'm. Yeah, exactly. I just like wanted to hear someone say "fuck" on an album.
right.
That too. That was dangerous, right? Like,
Yes.
oh, like when Guns, like you didn't hear much rock do it, or I hadn't. And then like when I hear Guns N' Roses, and I'm like, he's like, it's
Why
so
don't
easy.
you just fuck off?
Fuck off. Yeah. Like, I'm like, oh, I'm like 12. It's like,
Right.
it's so exciting to me, like to hear the F word in a song, and a rock song like that.
I mean, I'm trying to like imagine because my son listens, he's been listening to hip hop. My youngest is 13 and he doesn't really listen to that much rap anymore. But my older, who's 16, it's been like these last 2 or 3 years has been really like a struggle to like, because I'm the one who turned him on to hip hop. Like I play hip hop, I play metal, I play whatever, and he gravitated to that. Obviously, everybody in his school is listening to fucking hip hop. Like they're all listening to it, and I'm like, look, I don't care. I was like, we've talked to him. Like, do you understand like what they're saying? Like, do you like we listen to a song with them, and I know what the fuck I know what all the slang is. Like I know what a thought is. I know what what I mean. Like, and I'm like, do you know what they're saying though? Do you know what they're talking about? And he's like, well, kind of this. And it's like, I can still tell that it's like a naive version of what it is. And I'm like, okay, like, okay, you can keep on listening. For a while there, we made him listen to the censored version of everything. So I got Apple Music because Apple Music's got the clean version of the record. So I was like, and then after a while, we started catching him listening to the uncensored version. I'm like, hey man, and then we just drew the line at a couple of rappers because like some of it was just so fucking out of hand. I was just like, it's too much, bro. Like too.
I still remember the Straight Outta Compton edited. Straight Outta Compton, crazy young brother named Ice Cube from a stupid dope gang with an attitude.
Right.
It's so ridiculous.
And by the time I heard that, I was already heard the original version. So I was like, oh, that shit's whack. But now I get it. Like, I'm like, thank you for making the fucking, for my 12-year-old or whatever.
Correct. Yep. I get it now. You don't get that stuff. Like, even in your 20s, like when I was in my 20s, I didn't appreciate it. It's like you reach that, like that fine wine aging adulthood and like, oh, yeah, maybe that wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah. And now I'm just like, he just listens to it. It's just kind of like, I think it's him for like background music. Like it's not really like, I don't think like you learned all the words to those songs. Like he hasn't learned all the words to any fucking songs. So I'm just like, it's whatever. Just know that this is fantasy. All right. Like, your dad's in a band. I'm singing about some crazy shit too. Like he knows. I mean, I swear like a motherfucker, a motherfucker on stage. So it's hard for me to go, hey, but I try not to swear around him at home. That's all I try and do. Like when I'm at the house, like I don't swear. Like even now, like I do my best to not, I didn't want them running around swearing like, oh, the Flynn kids.
That was me. I had the worst mouth ever. Yeah, it's tough. I don't have children, but I would definitely appreciate like that type of mentality. And it's like as I age, even on Twitch, and that's a great I like to raid people and sometimes, and my channel is, we swear a lot. It's very like yours, just. Of course, yeah. The first day I go into your channel, you're talking about dildos. It's the first thing I hear you talking about. I'm like, right. All right, here we go.
And who's using them and who isn't? What Twitch people are using them and what Twitch fans aren't.
It's fucking great. And then someone talked about you guys are going to make custom bunk socks, and I'm like, this is so fucking funny. And so anyway, my stream ends yesterday, and as we're ending, like, we start watching this video of a tortoise fucking a croc. And I don't mean a crocodile. I mean the shoe, a croc. And we're all laughing. Nice. And it's just like, And we're all laughing. They're like, all right, let's go raid Dan from Tesseract. And on our channel, everything fucks. You know, that man, this song fucks, man. So we jump into his channel and everyone's like, oh yeah, this channel fucks. But it's like, no, don't swear in here. Like Dan wants a clean image. And like,
oh my God.
I felt like the biggest piece of shit. And I'm like, oh man, I'm like, you know, I literally turned into the tortoise. And I'm like,
fucking the croc.
Yeah. I'm like, man, like I feel like such a scumbag. I'm like, let's not say everything fucks, guys.
I mean, he's not that young though, is he?
No, it's like, more or less like I get it. Like some of these folks, like they have a way younger audience, and that's what I'm kind of starting to learn. Like on Twitch, like some of the days, like we're listening to Motley Crue, the guy's like, yeah, my first, you know, their entry point is the new Slipknot album, and you're like, oh shit, okay. So you're like, I'm not going to change, you know, that's his personality. You and I have our personalities, and that's what makes it all fun. But it's just like, I get it. Like, I don't want to swear sometimes. You just have to set some guidelines, but my natural instinct is just every other word is fuck.
Yeah. Do you have a moderator, or do you have an auto mod setting on your Twitch? Yeah.
No, I left it way open. I have one of my best buddies and my girlfriend, they just mod it, but we've only had one person come in there and just kind of be rude. So other than that, I think Twitch, at least every room I've gone into so far, just seems like a fun community vibe. And I'm sure some people like Ninja's channel or Pokimane, I'm sure they get blasted with, you know, the type of riffraff that requires much moderation. But I think us metalheads, it's the same community that's going to our shows.
Yeah.
So we already have fun with them. So I think that's what I like about it.
Yeah, I'm digging it, man. I mean, we were talking about this, that, you know, you rated my channel the other day, and I was like, oh, you're on Twitch, right on. Like, it's a good vibe over there, man. Like, I really, you know, I don't know. Maybe it's because, you know, I'm trying to think, like, you know, I've been trying to think, like, I'm not trying to think, I just think, like, why is the community over there just so much like less toxic than all other social media?
I don't know.
Like, why is, you know, there's a couple of assholes here and there, but like, what I think it might have to do with is that it's such a, like, if you're gonna watch Twitch, it's a commitment. You know, it's a commitment, you know, like, it's not just a, hey, fuck you, you're a fucking libtard, or, you know, whatever. Like, it's like, you're not just commenting on a picture, like, you're there for a while. You're there for the journey, you know, and most people, like, if you don't like somebody, even if I hate somebody, like, I'm not going to go watch their Twitch stream for fucking 3 hours or 2 hours, you know, whatever. It's like, it's such a commitment.
Yeah, that's a good point.
In and of itself kind of just weeds everybody out.
That's a very, very good point. I hadn't thought about that. I like it as a streamer, but I also loved it as a fan. Going into your channel as a fan, and I'm like, hey, play the fucking breakdown. What song did I ask you for?
Bay of Pigs.
Bay of Pigs. And you do it. I'm like literally like in my room, and I'm like, this is I get it. I get why the kids are stoked and why the fans are stoked and why people are in there. Go in Gene Hoglan's room. I'm like, he's taking requests? Okay. Boom, you know, and like,
nice.
I'm watching Gene Hoglan play a song I requested. Gene Hoglan's my favorite metal drummer, and he's playing a Zeppelin song by my favorite drummer of all time. My fucking mind is going boom. I'm like, I was addicted right away. Like, I get it. As a fan and as somebody on, I went from just talking about albums, now I'm actually performing on there and like dusting off the cobwebs and playing guitar, doing vocals. We're making up songs on the fly. So, you know, I can actually start performing again and in some capacity. So that feels good too.
Right on, man. That's fucking badass. I love it. You're on there every day?
Monday
What's your channel?
Friday.
Plug your channel. What's your channel?
It's Chimera Mark, CHIMAIRA _Mark. Chimera.
Twitch,
is that Charmin band, man? Y'all.
Twitch.
Twitch.tv.
Twitch.tv.
Charmin Mark, CHIMAIRA _Mark. That's the best
How
one.
Many people have gotten your name wrong over the years? Like, fuck. It's
90
fucking Chimera.
95% of the folks out there, every marquee, you pull up to the club and you're like, son of a bitch. It's like you think like, man, this is a cool name, but then like, oh shit, no one can say it, no one can spell it, no one. So yeah, it's a
the
variation.
word is spelled different. It's a variation on the original word, which is Chimera, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, exactly. And we only chose the variation on the spelling for symmetry in the artwork, having the double I's and extending the length of the word. It made the logo look better. So
okay.
That's how the variation of the spelling came about. And it reminds me of like Sepultura. Like we all had that one friend that called him Sepultura, right? So you got that. There's always one that's calling us Chimera, So.
Yeah. They put the emphasis on the wrong part of the word, the Sepultura, man.
Yeah,
it's like, no,
fucking love Sepultura, man. Yeah.
I had a buddy when I was growing up in high school. He was like, man, I love that band, Iron Maiden. And I'm like, it's not Iron Maiden, it's Iron Maiden. We'd sit there like all high, like fucking, we're cutting class, we're smoking weed. He's like, man, play some of that Iron Maiden. I'm like, it's what? No.
It's like nails on a chalkboard. It's a family members too, right? Like, they don't even know how to say it, so it's hilarious. And I don't correct them at this point.
Yeah.
Never. I just let him go.
Take me back to early Marcus O'Hunterus did you grow up in Parma?
Strongsville, Ohio, which is like 45 minutes from Cleveland, kind of like how you were saying you're 45 minutes from the downtown and actual stuff. Same here, like in the burbs.
Yeah. Is your family musical? Like, do you have a lot of musical?
Yeah, interestingly,
father, mother,
my father was a guitarist for like a session musician, and he was in the country genre. So I met quite a few famous like country guitar players as a very young child.
Oh wow.
Merle Haggard, Charlie Pride,
wow,
John Schneider, like Bo Duke. He was a country artist as well.
You met Bo Duke from Dukes of Hazzard?
I sang on stage with him at like 3.
Get the fuck out of here. That's amazing.
So, but unfortunately,
because he played in your dad, because your dad was playing in his band.
I believe just brought
you along, and Bo Duke brings you up on stage.
Correct. So
crazy.
But unfortunately, like my father and my mother separated when I'm 3, so I don't know much of the history.
Okay.
So, and then he passed away, so I can't like ask, and it's like I get secondhand or third-hand information my whole life. So I just have like clips.
He passes away when you're 3?
No, he actually passed away later, but I had no contact with him. Like my parents divorced and he moved away. So, and you get me to become this singer of Chimera because I'm this angry fatherless kid, right? It's a kind of a cliche almost at this, how many metal singers don't have that situation in some weird way.
Right.
But yeah, so it comes from that side of the family. But unfortunately, I just don't know anything besides secondhand, and that he played at the Grand Ole Opry, and he was just like a badass. And he wasn't even the best in his family. So that's kind of like the information I had on him. So
does your mom not really want to talk about it, like as you're growing up?
Correct.
When you're a kid?
It's sheltered. Exactly.
Like just,
so then,
we're not going to talk about your dad, and we're moving on.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is that's kind of weird. That's weird.
It is, but he was like a violent and alcoholic, and my mom just, I think, wanted me to have like a Leave It to Beaver suburban life. Like, you don't need to be seeing that kind of shit, and you're not going to go visit him, kind of stuff. And like there's like crazy custody issues, and I'm too young to even remember it, but I know it fucked my stomach up, right? Like by the time like the divorce is all over and like it takes a couple of years and like I really don't know what's going on, but I just know there's a lot of stress. Like I start getting like ulcers and
crazy.
start missing school a lot because like, you know, the stress, it just fucks you up. Well, it fucked me up anyway.
Crazy. Oh, that's heavy. And good for your mom, you know,
that just went like real
shout
dark.
Out to your mom for shout out to your mom for, you know, like fucking making a good decision like that. You know, the decision that was best for you. Like, it's awesome.
But you can understand then when I segue into, she wasn't very stoked when I wanted to be a musician.
Oh my God, right? Like she was such a freak. Like, no.
Like, what?
You're going to your father. Yeah,
exactly.
Oh my God, that must have brought up a lot of baggage.
Yeah. So it was, but you know, I think like as bummed as I am, music is what like, and I gravitated to it at a young age. And that was as far as I can remember, it's like what, you know, I'm listening to and like what movies and music kind of are my escapism from whatever's happening in the household or shit like that, you know? So it's, so I'm thankful for that. And when I became a musician, I'm like, I hope I can pay it back, right? Like that's like,
so nobody else in your family played music, like no brothers, sisters, cousins. Yeah,
I'm an only child, and my father and his brothers played music, and that was it.
Yeah. So you grow up, and I mean, you're growing up pretty relatively normal in life, and you know, you're going to school, and somewhere along the way, just music. I mean, I would imagine it's kind of this Thompson Twins, Michael Jackson era that like is like your first songs.
Yeah, those are songs music I remember like singing besides the country stuff at like a real young age, like Oak Ridge Boys or Merle Haggard.
Oh yeah, oh shit, wow.
That's like 3, 4, and then like as I'm like getting a little bit older, that's when all the
that's what your
80s pop stuff. Correct. So I start getting into the music my mom likes, which is, you know, it can even start as early as Bee Gees to she likes like dance and pop music, right? So she's going to be listening to Bee Gees, then I'm going to hear Duran Duran. It's like 83, 84 starts happening. You know, that's when I'm picking up on that music. And then 86, 87, 88, I'm more into rap and metal. And there's still some great 80s bangers coming out in that era, but way more focused on cassette tapes that my friend's brother had. Like, who's that guy?
Right.
King Diamond. Well, listen to that guy's voice. How does he get so high? Like discovering that kind of shit. Like that's so fun. 80s pop is awesome, but you never heard anything like when you hear like King Diamond start screaming. You're like,
nothing
what?
Sounded like that.
Yeah. You had nothing in the world. So you like, I was just excited for the novelty of it. Like this whole, what is this new stuff I'm hearing?
Do you ever go back, or have you ever gone back and listened to the bands that your dad played on? Like,
no, because I'm not 100% sure what it is. Like, I have no, I just know that like, hey, your dad's really good friends with Merle Haggard. We're going to this concert. And like, I'm too young to even like really form the memory, but then it's talked about later in life. Like, oh, no, you don't remember that? You don't remember singing on stage with John Schneider? No, I mean, I kind of, but no. How can you remember this at 4 years old? No, I couldn't.
Right. You never gone back and listened to the Bo Duke record, the John Schneider record?
No, I listened to his recent hit. I listened to his recent single, though.
You should do that on your Twitch.
I should. I listened to his recent single, though. He put one out not too long ago. Yeah. I was like, wow, he's still doing it. So I was just a curiosity click, like, this guy's been doing it my whole life.
Right. How was it?
Not for me.
Yeah.
But it's not
like
bad.
Poppy country.
Yeah.
Poppy country. Yeah.
I think like I just have an aversion to country music, probably because of the relationship or lack of and correlation. Like I hate country music. I don't even want to listen to it.
I fucking hate it too.
Yeah. Like give me a couple good Johnny Cash songs here and there, you know, but other than that.
I'll go with you there. I can take Toby Keith's Red Solo Cup. I love that one.
I don't know if I heard that one.
Your life is still complete, trust me.
No, I had to have, because I've worked enough weddings that I'm sure it's been played.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I became a photographer,
It's
so
just
when
a
you
good
shoot a
dr- it's a
wedding,
drinking
yeah,
song.
it's a
It's a
drinking
drinking
song. I've
song.
had to have heard it.
Funny. Yeah. But that's funny. So then you grow up and then you get into music then, and then it's where in, like, at least for me, it was kind of around maybe like first year of high school. That's when I started thinking like, oh, you hear like, oh, somebody might be in a band or so and so might be in a
Yeah.
band. And is that about the time that you start thinking, do you
Yep.
ever perform? Like, do you ever enter any contests or anything like that early on, like as a kid?
Lamarca did. So Lamarca is a good
Oh,
entry point
Jim
for
at this
me.
point. Jim at this point.
I've known Jim since I was 12 years old. He stole my
Okay.
Guns N' Roses pin.
I heard the story. I was listening to I was watching your movie the other day. And I saw,
Sweet. Yeah, I'm walking to a friend's house and I meet him and he's like, Guns N' Roses. And he's like, give me that. And he takes the fucking pin. He still has it. He still has that pin.
Does he still have?
Yeah.
Give me that. You don't like Guns N' Roses.
Yeah. And typical Jim being, just funny. And, but he was in a band, and that their band was kind of like very Metallica-ish, their sound. And then it's that damn Slayer riff again. I heard their guitarist play it. And I'm like, someone can play that besides Slayer? Like it never crossed my mind, like that you could use, like someone else could play something that complex. Like, I thought, to me, like, only it's reserved for the gods, right? Like, someone in my high school can play Slayer. So that really changed my perception. And like, so I wanted to get a drum set, and I wanted to play instruments and music. And Jim left his guitar at my house once when I was like a young drummer. And so I picked up his guitar and just started fucking around. And like, I'm all self-taught. So it's early high school. I'm probably a freshman, ninth grade or something. And Jim's 2 years older than me, grades above me. So he's in a band, and their band then all of a sudden starts performing shows at like venues and opening up for national acts. And then I got invited to be their drum tech. So I'm like a 15, 16-year-old kid being a drum tech on stage at Flashes. Did you ever get the opportunity to play Flashes back in your day in Ohio? A lot of the thrash bands
back in the day.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know.
The old Buddies.
Oh yeah, I love that one. Right, the bathroom with the piss that would get up to about 1.5.
I had my
feet
21st
deep.
birthday at Peabody. I had my 21st birthday at Peabody's.
Wow,
it was a big deal. I was like, I can legally drink, yeah.
So yeah, I formed my own first band in high school. It was like, man, like, it is the epitome of 90s stuff, right? I like metal, but it's also like, I also love grunge, like this whole wave of Lollapalooza type music that's starting to come into my zeitgeist. And like, even the really like obscure sub pop bands were influencing me, or like out of the box shit like Sebado, like the second stage of Lollapalooza bands, right?
Oh, okay.
So I was going way deep into anything and everything I could. Hardcore music, big into like Revelation Records bands or the early Victory Records stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so my first band is kind of like a mishmash of all that, just nonsense and
grungy hardcore metal.
Mm-hmm. And
maybe a little bit of rap in there too. Without
question, Rage Against the Machine. Absolutely. They're out at this time. So 93, 94, 95.
Yeah.
So I play a concert in my garage on the last day of school, and I invite the whole school basically to my house because I didn't think my mom was going to be home. Dude, she came in like song 3 of the set. And there's 150 kids in our garage.
She's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Oh man, was I in trouble
day.
You
didn't tell her, hey mom, I'm gonna invite some kids over and have a concert.
Secret. Secret invite only. And then eventually moved up to starting into clubs in 95, 96.
How was the first concert? Was the concert awesome though?
Of course, like, oh, look at all the chicks showed up, right? Like all the girls from the high school even showed up. You're like, whoa, we did something right. If like, it's not just our geeky friends, like everybody showed up, kind of vibe. And of course it gets ruined like instantly by Mama Dukes.
All crammed into the garage though.
Yeah.
Is there moshing? Are people like fucking raging?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. I have pictures from that show. So somebody took photos of it, and I have pictures of like, you can actually see dudes moshing in my garage.
Nice.
It was pretty epic. I thought you were going to say something. Sorry.
No, I was just listening. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Skip line?
So that band was called this is way before. This is called Pillow. It's like my Pillow. Yeah. Not many people know, like, wow. That's probably the first time that's ever been revealed. Pillow. Man, I told you it was alt.
Is that an exclusive?
Yeah, it's an exclusive. We were an alt metal band. That sounds alternative, right? For the 90s, okay. Right?
Gotcha.
But
you're soft and fluffy.
Yeah.
But we're not.
Exactly. But then as more hardcore shit came into my life, and then that scene started to blow up. We're talking like Earth Crisis, Snapcase, Strife, like when they're having their heyday, 96, 97. Then that's when I was like, okay, that shit's cool. And I've told you 1,000 times that like I saw you guys open for Slayer. Was it James A. Rhodes Arena? Was that where it was in Akron? Was that what you guys played? Yeah, Rubber Bowl or something, or that area. You guys had to have started with Davidian. I'm just going to make it up and say you did. But I remember just turning to my friend. Yeah, I turned to my buddy, and I'm just like, I want to be in a band that fucking does that. And that was Fielding, who wound up being our guitar tech. I've told you this story 1,000 times, but no, your listeners definitely don't know this. But that like really pushed me into starting like to do a band that like was serious, and then like I wanted to be on Roadrunner because like all the cool bands were on Roadrunner, and that was the era you guys were on a video cassette with like Life of Agony and like your videos, Typo Negative, and like just that scene. Like I wanted to be a part of that, and like that really like pushed me to like, all right, we're gonna actually play in venues now, and it's not garage anymore. It's like we're gonna try to like record albums and put out cassettes and like really try to do it. So you are another part of this like catalyst of like actually in Machine Head just putting it out there.
That's awesome, man. And that's awesome. You say it again, but like I'm just like I don't forget it, but I just like until you say it again, I'm like, oh yeah, like it's crazy. Like it's crazy to me that you saw my band on that tour, which is like our third or fourth tour, and then that is what inspired you to like I'm gonna do this.
I'll prove it to you even further. If you listen, Skipline is the band I formed, like the first hardcore metal band I formed. It's kind of, you can hear some Chimera in it for sure. But the very first song I wrote is a song called Wander, and it's on Spotify. But dude, when you hear it, you're gonna be like, oh, that's Davidian, because it's like, boom, dun dun. But instead of like the doo-doo, I'm playing notes, but it's in drop C. I've got, I try to like, I'm trying
Skipline's on Spotify?
Yeah, it's pretty funny to listen to. But yeah, I played guitar for the band, and I was on the song Wander. I actually sang. It's the first time I ever sang, probably. And the lyrics are fucking awful. I think the first line is "Growing up is the hard thing to do." People sit around and tell you what to do. So okay, you can tell how old I am there, and. But the music, it's my best impression of like Machine Head and Slayer era 94, 95 kind of music. Like,
I gotta hear this.
It's
I'm gonna
Machine
play this in
Head.
The intro.
Wander.
This is fucking great.
But I've
never heard this story. You've never told me that.
I forgot about it too. But re-listening to some of the Skipline stuff not too long ago, I'm like, dude, that is fucking. I bought a 5150 because of your tone. I heard through the grapevine, like we had no way of finding this shit out. I heard you had used...
Yeah, there's no internet.
Right. I heard you had used a 5150 with... would it have been was it Mesa cabs or something with Celestians? Marshall cab with Celestians. That's what I had heard through the
Marshall vintage
with Celestians,
but they had
right?
Lower wattage. They're all Celestians, but it's a lower wattage than the regular Marshall. So like it's a more scooped mid range.
So I had to get that tone. Like I was like way into Burn My Eyes tone, and like that's what I was going for with my sound. A little bit of mix of that, and then like another huge tone I'm a fan of is Kirk from Crowbar, but it's too different. It's too different. Like I could emulate easier for myself to get that. I think I'm more in tune with your style, right? Like I can play that style more. It's more my wheelhouse, where Kirk's is very sludgy and very different, and it's something that's not natural for me. It's like a different vibe,
more
right?
Bluesy.
Like, yeah. You and I think more hip hop and thrash oriented. So
right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, I got the Bay Area. Every down pick has to have a scrape on.
Like, the bounce, man.
Shit.
Yeah. So the groove. What I tell people is with like Chimera is the hybrid of music. The name itself is a hybrid, but we were a hybrid of different styles of metal. We liked thrash metal, we liked death metal, we liked new metal, we liked things like that. I thought you guys had that. That's kind of what I was so inspired by. You had the bounce of Biohazard, you had some Slayer, you had some Pantera. It was just a nice, but it was all this original sound. But you could sense where it was coming from, and it hit me in the right, like all the right areas. You had it all covered. I'm like, this is the fucking
that's awesome, man.
That's what I want to do. So, but yeah. I'll stop polishing the knob now.
Oh no, it's okay. Keep going.
Keep going. Yeah. But for your listeners that don't know the history, you know it, but the listeners that don't know, like it's that concerts like that, like being able to see a band and your band and stuff like that was like a different level, because I had Jim's band. They're playing like the local clubs. That's cool. I can do that. And then there was Integrity, the hardcore band from Cleveland, and I was friends with the singer. So then I see a band that goes to Europe, and I'm like, oh. Okay, so that's the next level. I want to how does he get records out? And he taught me like the ropes of selling merchandise and making T-shirts and putting out demos and flyers and promoting a show. He taught me the whole DIY ropes. And then it's like the next step is like, I see your guys' band and it's like, dude, I got to do that kind of shit. And that was from that moment on. I basically, everything can fuck off. I'm just like, my whole focus was music, and I dove in completely, and I didn't rest, I guess, until like 2014. So
yeah. I mean, you went, and you guys, I mean, I definitely it's funny because I went through all of your touring history and kind of went, a lot of the Wikipedia stuff, which was, talks about Skip Line, and then was it Ascension? The next one?
Matt DeVries was in Ascension. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Ascension. And then you maybe combined with them for a minute or something, or maybe
we used to tour. Yeah, we used to tour and play shows together, and that's how Skip Line and Ascension. Hagar was our original guitarist in Chimera. I don't think you met him though, because he had left the band, and I think DeVries was in the band by that point when we did our first tour together. But Hagar and Matt DeVries were both in the band Ascension, and we were like the two big hardcore bands at the time of the area, like post Integrity. So it's like, oh shit. Yeah, that's a good idea. Our band should combine now that they're ending, because like people would be interested in that. So we had a slight edge.
Didn't you have you guys got like your band ended because you guys went to Rhode Island and like got carjacked or something, right?
Yep.
Like all of your gear stolen, like fucking robbed at gunpoint out of your car.
Close. Close. Not that drastic, okay. Thankfully.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's still a shitty story. Skip Line books our first out of town show. We go to Massachusetts. The show's fucking badass. Like, matinee show of all things is the next one. We're like on a bill with Slapshot in Rhode Island, and we're like, okay, cool. So we go to the hotel, and we wake up the next morning. I go down to the van. Like, well, where's the van? So we're like walking around the hotel like aimlessly, like, fuck, someone stole the van, and all the gear was in there.
Shit.
And so we're just 4 18, 19-year-old kids, not even some of us kids in Rhode Island, no vehicle now, no gear, and we're stuck in a hotel, and we have to go play a show. So we take, I think, taxis to the show, and we ask the other bands if we can just play their gear because we don't know what to do, right? So we play this show, and I just say on stage, I just tell, like, you know, the crowd of 15, whatever it was, there's nobody there, what happened. And 2 people decided that they were going to, like, they would drive us home from Rhode Island. But the kicker was it was like a Bronco 2, like the smaller, and the 4 of us had to sit in the back of the, like, lay together in the back of the cab
right
for 15 hours.
Oh my God. But still,
like this. And, like, of course, Jim gets gas.
Right.
Can't stop, right? Oh, it was miserable. And that was it.
Or something.
That was it. Like, no one wanted to do the band anymore.
And
so I thought I was done with music. I moved to Cincinnati, and I'm just
crazy.
I'm just some dude hanging out with my friends, because they also went to college down there. All my friends leave high school, and they go down to college. And I'm like, well, I'll go fucking hang out with you guys. And I'm just like some dude that sits around and plays, like, Deftones songs and Tool songs on the guitar at home and works at a pizza shop.
College.
No, I'm just like
not going to college yet.
I'm just a degenerate. Like, I want to be a musician, but I can't. So I'm just going to sit here and in between shifts at the pizza place and getting drunk with my friends, I'm going to play Deftones and Tool songs and whoever else is. 96. I'm probably even learning load and reload by this time. I'm like, yeah, I'll try it. Maybe this will help me like it. Yeah. So then, like, I get the call from Jason Hagar, who was in Ascension. He's like, I'm going to leave Ascension. I think you and I should start a band. And fuck it. And I said, that's when I said, I'm like, if we're doing it, we're going to fucking do it. Not regional like shows and on the weekend here and there. Like, no. We're going to fucking do it. I'm not moving back. Like, I'm almost there. Like, we got offered a tour with Integrity. Like, it's there. I can taste it. You know, we can leave this, go on a real fucking tour. And so I'm like, I don't want to be some, like, band, if we're going to do this, that, like, gets together and, like, probably like Zayo at the time was another good example. They would do, like, a weekend show here and there. That's not what I wanted. I wanted, like, go on a full thing. So
yeah,
he's like, yeah, well, fuck yeah. So then it becomes the task of trying to find other people that crazy, like, that are willing to drop everything to, like, fuck yeah, I believe in a band that doesn't exist. Yeah, exactly. So,
but you do.
Yeah, we find them, right? They all exist somehow. And luckily for us, there were dudes that went to the same school as I did. You know, Andals, Robb, Jim, we all went to the same school. We're different ages and different grades, but we're all drinking from the same water fountain, and that means musically.
Are you guys
too,
friends?
You know?
Were you guys all friends though, like in school?
Jim and I, but Robb and Andals are, and Jim and I are. But Robb and Andals are too young for me and Jim to know them. They're like,
gotcha.
Yeah, 3-4 years younger than I am. So, like, Jim's the grandpa in the band, basically.
Okay.
He won't like me to say that, but nowadays he is.
It's okay. We love you, Lamarca. Don't worry.
Oh, dude, nothing but love. He's one of the funniest dudes ever.
Funny motherfucker. Goddamn.
When we toured with Korn, my favorite moment was when Fieldy walked out one time. He goes, "What's up, me?"
What's up, me?
Because he just looks like fucking great value Fieldy, right? You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I love Jim. He's the dude that I've been playing music with my whole life, you know, literally. So without him, I wouldn't have done 12. Any music. Yeah. So we used to play Enter Sandman together.
Like, nice. You were playing the drums. Yep. He's on bass or
guitar. Yeah, he was a guitarist first. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
That's where he started. He was the rhythm guitarist of the Metallica-esque band that he was in. Sacrifice.
Sacrifice.
That's not an 80s metal
that's better
band.
Than Pillow. That's better than Pillow. I like that better.
Hands down. Whoever said I was good with picking band names, I'm telling you. I'm 0 for 3.
So it's Chimera. So Chimera starts then. This is the beginning of Chimera.
Yeah. This is August of 1998 now. So I'm 3 years out of high school, and now 2 bands later.
You guys famously did like a farm club type of. I think the show was called Farm Club. Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I think would it be considered infamous now is a good question, but yeah, it was
Infamous,
for the USA Network, and it was a show at the time where Matt
Pinfield had something to do with it.
Yep, and the Doritos model, I can't remember her name, but she was popular at the time too. Totally makes sense for a metal band to be on, right? So we get the show itself was they would put unsigned bands on live TV, or not live, but whatever this kind of show was, also performing with professional bands. So it was almost like a vote off, like, you know, band A and band B, and then they're going to play with Green Day, and the fans vote on which band they liked better, and if they like band B better, then that can help them, you know, get a record contract or something like this. I think that's how it went. It's 20 years ago now at this point, but
who did you play with? What national band did you play with?
Mandy Moore and Incubus.
Oh shit! Wow, Mandy Moore, the pop girl.
Yeah, and she was just starting out. Yeah, so this is just the beginning of her career at this point.
And Incubus is signed. This is like Science era or something.
Yeah, exactly. When they're
crazy.
Pardon me while I burst.
Oh, pardon me. Holy shit.
That's that era. They're fucking massive.
Wow. Yeah.
It was a big ordeal. I think No Doubt was there.
That record. I love that record.
Fuck yeah. And yeah, that's it. And we but the weird thing is it's like an audience of like models and like probably a lot of paid people, but there's also some fans in there as well. So it was really awkward because the front row is just like all screaming girls that obviously don't listen to fucking Chimera.
Yeah.
And as a front man, especially one that's kind of shy at the time, like I couldn't, you know, it's just weird. Your first time on any kind of TV, like,
how do you get these girls to make a circle pit? Like,
yeah, it was so bizarre. I'm a dude coming from like integrity shows with like Apartment 213, where people are fucking taking out power tools on stage and jumping into the crowd, like, yeah, you know, like 90s hardcore
like,
insanity.
What? Like, what is this? This is fucking bizarre. It happens in Cleveland?
No, they flew us out to Los Angeles. It was in Universal Studios.
Shit. Oh,
yeah,
crazy.
It was a big deal. Like, we were supposed to get in a limo.
How do you score this? How do you score this deal? Like, that's just crazy.
So this is that secret society shit, right? Like, like it's all who you know.
Right.
So we lucked out that one of the producer, this is a Spacusa connection, but I believe one of the producers on the show he was friends with, and she made it happen.
Oh, Spacusa was friends with. Okay,
yeah, Spacusa was friends with.
Chris was in the band already.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay,
and Chris is one of those guys that just kind of knew a lot of the right people. Interestingly enough, he introduced us to Tom Hazart, who helped get our band's name into a lot of record label hands back in the day. He's one of the people that put our albums, gave it to Kevin Estrada from Roadrunner, and Chris knew him. Chris knew Marcy, who got us on Farm Club, and just he was an early pioneer of being on the internet and being like, he had a webzine. He was friends with the PRP when they were still the Pimp Rock Palace.
Pimp Rock Palace.
Yeah.
Shout out to Pimp Rock Palace.
Absolutely. Right. And so he's just old school and had a lot of connections. And some of them like that were just like, whoa, this is going to be really impactful for our career. Cause that not a day goes by where I don't hear somebody say they discovered us from that show. It was 3-something million people watched it or something. And we hadn't even had an album out yet. So it was, that's kind of good. And it's kind of bad, right? Cause you get all the exposure.
I recall later on, it kind of came back to like, they were just a new metal band. Fuck them, man. Like people were ragging on you.
It doesn't age well, right? It's kind of one of those videos where you're like, when they pull out the old Trent Reznor videos before he's a Nine Inch Nails, and you're like, ooh. It kind of feels like that when the Farm Club video comes out. But
right.
At the same time, like, it's huge for us, right? Roadrunner was already interested in us, and then they're like, oh shit, you guys just got on this show and this and that. Come to think of it, I don't know if there was it was a contest to get on it, but I think we snuck on.
Oh, it was okay.
I think that's what it was. Now it's coming back to me.
Yeah. But you guys were heavy. Like, it was still heavy and like fucking, like.
Yeah, we played Dead Inside and Severed, both songs on. They don't show the Severed clip because it was too long, but we wound up playing 2 songs, and it was, it was heavy as fuck, and we did our best to be heavy as fuck. Right after we left makeup and hair. Right. Because it's intense.
like we better be fucking really heavy now. We just need makeup and hair.
Exactly. It's such a weird thing to think about, right? Like you're on TV, so they're like, well, you're in Hollywood. You're going to get your hair and makeup done. We are? Okay.
You're wearing like a white t-shirt too, right?
I think I was wearing a Jenko t-shirt, funnily enough. It was grayish white. Yeah, very light shirt colored. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Nice.
We all got hooked up with Jenko because we were going to be on TV. So Jenko just fucking swagged us out.
Nice. You're like, fuck yes. Free Jenko.
Dude, you remember the first time you started getting free shit? Didn't matter who it was from. You're like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, totally. I'll rock this shit on national TV. You don't even think about it. Like,
exactly. It doesn't even matter what it says. And you're like, maybe I shouldn't have worn that shit. It's funny, though. Like, some of the stuff, those outfits in that era. Yeah,
I mean, like, prior to that, were you wearing Jinko stuff? Did you, or did you just
I didn't even know about it. Yeah, I didn't know about it.
You just wore it like, oh, I better wear this because I'm going on TV now.
Well, yeah, and I'm like, oh, well, this is the new shit. This is the cool shit. This is what everyone's wearing now. Okay, like, I don't know any better, right? It's probably 2001, 2000. So we're talking, New metal's not quite a bad year.
No, new metal is, new metal's, 2000. That's 6 years in. That's new metal was.
It's there, but is it a bad word yet?
It was reaching I don't know if it's a bad word yet. So it's funny for me because the word new metal doesn't come along until like, I want to say 96. Like that word didn't exist when Korn started or Machine Head started or anything. Like, it just was just a word. And then I saw the second Korn album was like, oh, we're new metal. And then everybody's like, we're new metal. You're new metal. And I was like, what? I am? Okay.
Yeah, I just remember trying to shed that.
You're the godfather of new metal. I'm like, what? Like, okay.
You started it, man. I saw y'all. When you did that bounce shit. That's new metal, man. I love it.
That's right. Yeah. It was hard. Yeah. By then it was starting to get a little watered down though. Like that.
100%. I feel like we jumped out of the gate like 2 years too late. Like for our timing. Like if our timing would have been 2 years earlier, perhaps like it, kind of where we feel like right when our album comes out and leaks or whatever, like it's just we can see it's getting panned by the fans. Like we had just missed that threshold of where it's like no longer tolerable to be quote unquote new metal. It's like, oh shit. Like
what record? Pass Out?
Yeah. It leaked.
Really?
Do you remember? Well, of course you remember because you went through it too, but our album got delayed because of the buyout.
9/11.
And 9/11. The buyout fucked us. When Roadrunner sold.
Yes.
So
what was your experience with that? I was on a lot of drugs at that point, so it's a little hazy. But I do remember
on a lot of them right now, man. So it's gonna be tough.
Yes.
All I remember is it was supposed to come out at one point, and they were being sold to Island Def Jam, and
yes.
This screwed us because it was supposed to come out in the summer. So we had started touring. We had started blowing tour support, and it got delayed all the way then until October. So we had blown our load financially by this point then too. Cause like, we're a young band and we're like, go on tour with Slayer for $50 a night. Okay. It's like, we'll do it. It doesn't matter.
Was before the record?
No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, that was right after it came out. But yeah, did we tour with you guys We toured with you right before it came out. So,
Yeah, we went and bought.
Awesome machine. Yeah, we bought our
records
albums.
together.
Yeah,
Yes.
19 years
On
ago this week.
October 2nd, we drove to your friend drove us to the mall,
Yeah,
and we bought each other's records and our own records. So like,
so we probably
support
did
it,
3
man.
tours. Absolutely, that was like, dude, that the story I just told you, like, that's such a surreal moment for me. I'm like, you're the reason I'm fucking here. Like, and like, wow, you just bought my album. Like, I wish it didn't suck so bad. That's kind of how I felt about it.
That's what I was saying. Like, I was like, people were panning as new metal. Like, to me, that record was still really like, I just listened to it the other day, like, you know, kind of, you know,
Sure.
researching this, and you know, it's fucking heavy record, dude. Like, it's a really heavy record. Tons of double bass. Like, this isn't new metal. Like, you know,
I don't know. Yeah, it got panned and
I mean,
flamed.
it's got the groove, it's got the bounce, but it's like still like it's fucking heavy. Like, it's a really heavy record. No,
yeah, I appreciate like that
I think
you
it's just-
recognize it. Yeah,
I think timing. I think sometimes when a record comes out, like the context of the record can benefit or not benefit the record. You know what I mean? Like, it's happened a couple of times to me, like where I felt we put out a record that I didn't feel was bad, but like because of whatever around the time, like whatever, you know, and then for whatever reason that sticks, even though it's not really the case. And you go back and revisit the record and it's like, oh my God, this is like, now that I'm not in that bubble of the time, it doesn't sound anything like I listened to it. I was like, this is not a new metal record, like at any way, shape or form. Way
it's
too
weird.
brutal for a
Yeah,
new metal record.
it's weird how time changes that stuff too. And like just recently, because on the 19th birthday, I'm like, fuck it, I'll sing a bunch of the songs from it on Twitch. And like some of those I haven't sang since I recorded it. One of them I don't feel like. And no, Rizzo we played live once. So anyway, I'm like, yeah, I mean, it felt good to revisit it and play it, but that was kind of like, I don't know how to describe it, but it hurt. It was like it hurt us all because we had put a lot into it. It was our first time, our first go around, and it just didn't have the success that anyone had hoped for or imagined or like anticipated. And instead it was kind of like a flop for us. And the label wasn't too stoked on the lack of success for it. And so we're all pretty much depressed about it. And like,
tell me about the recording though. Like, was like, this is now like, okay, we get Kevin Estrada signs you. Is that what you said?
yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it's not Monte Conner.
No.
Yeah.
But Monte jumped in though during the production aspect. Like he started to voice his opinion.
Right on.
Which I'll jump into.
So you get signed, you're going to do the deal. You go in to record, and you know, this has got to be a pretty big deal for you. This has got to be
Huge.
pretty exciting. You know, like you're fucking on Roadrunner. Like this is, you know, Roadrunner was big shit back then.
It was the ultimate dream. It was the goal. Like, I want to be in a groovy metal band that's signed to Roadrunner. I'm fucking doing it. The dream has come true. Like, I'm reaching the top of my expectation pyramid.
Yeah. It's fun. Recording's fun.
Yeah. So we get to go to, we recorded
all the songs are done. All the songs are done at this point.
So that was interesting. A good portion of them, but then we learned about mechanical royalties and how you need to have a certain number of songs on an album for your mechanical royalty rate to help you on the back end that could complete crazy industry jargon. Long story short, you guys need 14 songs on your album. You only have 12. So we figured it out, and we re-recorded 2 songs from our EP for it. And that's kind of how we got out of it. But yeah, it was so that's technically we had them all written, but we kind of had to like figure out how to get enough songs on the album to make it. Do you know what I'm talking about? The mechanical royalty shit? Like,
yeah, no, I know.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Anyway, it's too boring to go into for the rest of the community. But long story short, we had to do 14 songs. But we chose to work with Mudrock, and he was the producer of the Godsmack albums. And originally it was going to be Dino from Fear Factory. That's who we had anticipated was going to be our producer. He was an early supporter of the band. He saw our first LA performance, which was our showcase. And he actually took our CD to Roadrunner too, and like Estrada was like, "Oh, well, fuck, I'm going to be signing these guys." So Dino was an early supporter, and we always anticipated he would record the album. But then he got busy with Digimortal and writing that and starting the recording process on that. And then we heard that Mudrock wanted to work with us. Like Estrada was working with Mudrock for Anyone. Do you remember that band on Roadrunner? They were out for a minute. They were called Anyone. But anyway, he signed them, and Mudrock did that album. Estrada played Mudrock our stuff, and Mudrock was like, dude, I want to work with that band. So we thought, dude, that guitar tone on Godsmack, like that first Godsmack album, was just massive sounding. Yeah. And it was, like exciting. Like, whoa, multi-platinum producer wants to work with our band? Like,
right.
Okay. Like, no questions asked. Like,
right.
But then you get into it.
You guys recorded in Cleveland, or you got?
No, we moved to LA. Well, not moved, but kind of like, the Oakwood apartments, the infamous, the Jokewoods.
The Jokewoods.
I lived next door to that kid from Malcolm in the Middle or some shit. Like, he was next door. Yeah. Like Elijah Wood was hanging out for a while there. But yeah, you see all these like celebrities. They all live there, right? When they're in town. So we stayed there. It was a good 6, 7, 8 weeks I was there, because I stayed through the whole process, mixing and mastering. And but it's a dream come true. We're in this big studio, but we kind of we clicked with Mudrock, but we didn't always click. Where I remember we'd butt heads a lot, especially Robb is like, as the guitarist, he's like, I don't like how these guitars sound. He's like, I want them to sound like fucking Deicide, like, and Mudrock was making them a little more like less gainy and more like how the tone sounds. And so we were kind of wanting to be more death metal, and Mudrock almost looking for that polished death metal, even an Injustice for All sound even. Right. But Mudrock was very much into big, real production, natural drum tones. And we just didn't ever feel comfortable with how it came out. Now, this is when Monty got involved. Like, he and I actually had some heated calls, because at the moment, while we're mixing it, I'm invested. Like, I don't hear an outside opinion. I'm hearing the album as it is, feeling it in these big speakers constantly. Right. I can't hear an outside opinion.
$35,000 speakers make everything sound good.
Right. And then Monty's like, dude, these guitars don't sound good. They don't sound metal. And I'm like, what are you talking about? We fought and kept our way. And that's, if there's one thing that I was like, I could ever wish and rechange on every mistake I've ever made. Like, that's the only one. I'm like, we should have listened to Monty there on the guitars. Because
you hear that, Monty?
They could have had more of a heavy metal sound and less of that stringy, open, less gainy. The tone is fine.
He's got a great ear, Montel, especially for guitars.
And I didn't understand that. Now I do. Yeah. But back then, our first album, but a dream come true. The funniest thing that happened is mixing in Larrabee.
Oh shit! You went to Larrabee? Goddamn,
dude, we had the budget.
That's big shit. Yeah, that's that's fucking top of the line.
And that's one day there's this room, we go upstairs, and that was our lounge, and Rob and I used to play NBA Jam on video games and stuff. And one day I walk up there, and it's fucking Mariah Carey. She's just sitting in our room, and she's like, I'm sorry I'm in your room, but I like yours way better than mine. Can I just hang out in here? I'm like, yeah.
Sure, Mariah Carey.
You can do whatever the fuck you want. And she's like, great. So go into the kitchen and get yourself some Cristal.
Nice.
Where am I?
Come and sit right by me, Mark.
Dude, and she's like,
did you end up hanging with her? Did you?
I didn't want to bother with. I talked to her for a brief few minutes. I thanked her for the champagne, and that's that. But Busta Rhymes comes in that day.
I've got a boner right now. I got to go jack off Mariah. Sorry.
She's tall. I didn't realize how tall
Did
she
you?
was. Yeah, you know how most times when you meet somebody, they're a lot shorter than I thought they were going to be. This was the
Yeah,
opposite. Yeah.
yeah.
This was the opposite. Buster Rhymes came in that day too. I think they might have been on so the studio next to us was like obviously doing hip hop and pop all day long.
Yeah,
So
they did all the Dr. Dre records there. At
I didn't know
that
that.
studio next door. Yeah,
I didn't know that. That's sick.
yeah. Like a shit ton of the Dre records were mixed there.
Yeah, I believe it, man. There was like that room, that hip hop room. We got to go in it a couple times and watch those dudes work. It just, if you're a hip hop fan, like you're in heaven, right? The subs in there and like just the sound on those mixing speakers is something else.
Did you rap with Busta Rhymes at all?
I got to just one of those like, hey, nice to meet you, and he's like just very like, hey, nice to meet you. Like I am so shy around people. Jim's the opposite. Like if Jim would have been there, we would have been hanging out with Busta Rhymes all night.
Yeah, right. Totally.
I'm an introvert, and
I
so
can
I'm
see
just
that. I can totally see that. Yeah.
I'm just like, hey, it's nice to meet you. I'm a big fan, and then like I walk away. Like I don't know what else to
Right.
say, so I'm
Right.
shy. But Jim's the opposite. Like when we meet like Stefan and Be Real the first time out in LA, same cycle, same era. Like next thing you know, we're at Stefan's house because we're hanging out with Jim, and like Jim's like, we're gonna go
Right.
smoke weed. You know, like what? You know, like that would have never happened if I was in charge. We would have been home by 8 p.m. Everyone would have been watching, I would have been watching a movie by myself.
Right. I was wondering how the Deftones thing happened. Now it makes sense because I guess Stefan's on a track on Pass Out of Existence, right?
Correct. Yeah. So Tom Hazard
Plays guitar.
again. Yeah. He came in and he wrote the song Rizzo with us, and he heard the demo.
Crazy.
Yeah. He heard the demo for Dead Inside, and our manager at the time, Tom Hazard, played it for him, and just kind of like mud rock, he got into it. And so we heard that he liked it. And just from hearing that he liked it, we got so excited, and we sent him a T-shirt. Like, that's all we could give the guy at the time.
Right.
We don't have anything else. So they do a video for what's the song called? Digital Bath. Is that track 2 on White Pony? You move. Anyway, they shoot a video for that at Rock in Rio in Brazil, and like 200,000 people or whatever the fuck it is, and he's wearing our shirt.
Oh wow!
And I'm like, what?
Badass.
What? Your head explodes. And then so
Totally.
time we go to LA for our showcase.
That's a huge. He's fucking promoting the band in a video in front of 200,000 people. That's like,
and we're not even signed. So I'm like, this is
No, you're in the studio.
insanity. We're not even signed yet when he did that.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So by the time we got signed, we had already become friendly with them because I went to our showcase, and that's when we got to meet them at the Rainbow. So we meet like Stefan, we meet Be Real, the Rainbow crowd of early 2000s.
The Rainbow crew. Right.
And, probably Christian from Fear Factory or somebody, even
Right.
Dino,
Right.
When they're still hanging together. But we get to go to Steph's house that night. And I'm sitting there. This is one of the most surreal moments in my life. But like, because Jim's the life of the party. So, he's fucking smoking weed with Be Real and Stefan. I don't smoke at the time yet. And like, I'm just watching all of this go down. And someone puts on the Dead Inside demo. And I look over and I see Be Real just doing this. Just that alone for me, that made my year. Like, Be Real is slightly bobbing his head to my song. Holy shit.
This is fucking awesome.
Yeah, I made it. Right. But so long story short, then we had kind of developed this relationship, and we just asked him to be, hey, would you be on our album and write a song? And he's like, fuck yeah. So he comes down to, I think we recorded it at Third Stone in LA is where the actual production was. And he just came down and chilled. He is like, I've heard him in interviews say he can just pick up a guitar and just write a song a day. And that's exactly what happens. He just comes in the room, starts playing the riff, and all right, yeah, this is it. Okay, everyone just kind of follows his lead, and the song was written and formed in that day, and totally professional, totally cool. another, yeah, I mean, I feel like very blessed. Like all the stuff that happened in the beginning of the career is like everything I could have dreamed of, like meeting every celebrity, getting to tour with every band I was influenced by and inspired by. It's exciting times, you know. And
what's the first tour you do?
as Chimera or just for the Roadrunner pass out era? I think we supported Factory 81, and we went out with Factory 81 in El Nino. And
okay, was that a Roadrunner band, Factory 81?
No, I believe they were actually on a major label, and they had like somewhat of a little bit of radio, like college radio. They were doing pretty decent with, and it was a good pairing, especially with El Nino, who were trying to get this is their first tour as well, so they're trying to get radio access. So I remember we always took pride in trying to have like a ferocious live show, and I remember seeing El Nino for the first time and being like, oh fuck, like, because those guys threw down and everyone had dreads, and it just looked like chaotic and awesome. And I'm like,
and it was like a lot of jumpy stuff, so like you could rock out pretty hard.
Yeah, man. So like I hated playing with that band, but I loved playing with that band because, you know, you gotta like,
and they're great guys. They're great guys, and they're great guys.
So much fun. When I say hate, I just mean like you got to really fucking bring it every night and kill yourself just to like compete. You know, some bands you can walk up there and it's not that difficult to put on.
You could probably take Factory 81, right?
We were able to take them.
I mean, who even fucking remember? They had a fucking number at the end of their name. I know exactly what this band sounds like, right?
You
like,
had it, exactly.
Every band had to come out with a number, like, you know, 81, 99, 66, 40, you know, like just what it was.
And no one had the balls to do 420. Damn it.
They wouldn't get in Walmart.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's that mindset, that Tesseract mindset I was talking about. We want to be giant and have everyone for it. But yeah, it was. They were the first band that, like, I think I remember giving us competition was El Nino. Like, okay, and that's good because that makes the show better for every fan. Like, because now you've got two bands that actually have a competition and want the same kind of, you know, love from the crowd, if not better or not more, whatever it is. Right. And then, so that's the first time I remember like competition being a thing. And then like Roadrunner competition, which I'm sure you know all about. It's like, oh, they're going to put their money into that band? What? Yeah. Right. Then it becomes Roadrunner competition.
Well, it was weird because we, you know, like we had pretty low aspirations, you know, like I wanted to sell 20,000 records. And I was just like, if we sell 20,000 records worldwide, like I'm happy. Like this is fucking, I mean, that's incredible. Yeah. I want that. And I want the Oakland show opening for Slayer. You know, if we can accomplish that on the first record, you know, 20,000 records, the one show, whatever touring we get, you know, it'd be great. And then just out of fucking nowhere, we sold 500,000 records, and now every band on Roadrunner hates our guts. They're like, "Oh, the money's gone to you," and I'm like,
"Oh shit,
we didn't do it, you know, like it just happened, like fucking, it was just happened." And but so I know what you mean by that competition, the Roadrunner competition for sure.
Yeah, and, it was weird.
You know, and it's funny because by the time we get to you, by the time we tour together, which is just a couple months after this is the Road Rage tour. It's Fear Factory, Machine Head, El Nino, and Chimera. And it starts 6 days after 9/11, which is just, I mean, I still think like, why would anybody tour 6 days? I mean, it was fucking insane. You know, the whole country's in state of shock, and ticket sales were just, you know, dismal. And I remember, so it was great too. Like, I love this story. I've told this story a bunch of times because I think it's so funny. Because, you know, at various times we were just a killing machine with a great fucking crew, and we were fucking just on our shit, and we were on, you know, just on a fucking roll. But at the beginning of this is the first tour for Supercharger, and we got new management, and they got this fucking, like, the worst road crew in the history of time, and fucking, you know, we fly over there late, and the fucking guy our opening night, You came up and you're like, all right, you gather your guys, like, we got to watch Machine Head because this is going to be the sickest shit you've ever seen, and we got to take fucking lessons. And we get up there, and literally, it will go down as maybe the biggest catastrophic show of my entire life. Like everything that can go wrong. Like I don't even have time to list everything here because it would take too long. But everything that possibly could go wrong, it's a disaster. I fire my fucking tech like that night, like fucking all this shit. But it was just it was a hell of an indoctrination into it, and in some ways I'm so glad that you got to see it because it was just like,
I'll never forget that. I felt so bad for, like, we didn't know what to do, you know, like as a band, because like it's like shocking, right? Like you'd never seen a professional band go through the shit you're going through all the time as like the young up and coming local band. But we knew that guy was going to get fired immediately. Like,
oh my God. It was insane. And then we kind of found our groove somewhere in there.
You did.
For a couple of shows, I was just using local people. I'd find somebody in the crowd. Hey, I need you to tech for me. Like fucking that kind of shit.
That's awesome.
Finally it ended up working out. It was fucking crazy though. But you know, we met each other on that tour and fucking became friends, and I remember loving that record and the songs, and you know, you guys brought this, both you and El Nino brought up fucking, you know, a youthful energy to the tour that was, you know, it was great. Because here was Fear Factory on their fourth record, I'm on my fourth record, you know, like it's, you know, it was cool to have this young fucking, all right, we're doing this shit a little bit differently now. And
I hear you. My favorite moment of that tour, one of them anyway, and see if you remember this, when we all went to we all had to get together for the photo shoot at Dallas for a magazine.
Yes.
And we're all standing there.
Deep Ellum.
Yeah, Deep Ellum, there you go. And LaMarca walks in last, basically, and Shivari just goes, "Hey, Jim, you forgot to bring your neck to the photo shoot." All of us just die laughing. Like, Shivari is the best ball buster on a tour.
Oh my God.
He's one of them, right? You know,
he is a ball buster extraordinaire. It was good between him and Jim. It was great comedy.
Oh yeah, man. Those two together, great times. I love it. They but yeah, the thing I remember about that tour for us was, like, obviously it's super cool for us to be out with two bands that we looked up to. And I think that I was watching your podcast with Dino, and I'm like, really? That happened because they were. I remember that show when they were supposed to go on. Their tour manager, he was mentioning on your podcast that they were supposed to go on after us that evening, and he was recently on your thing, and I'm like, oh shit, I remember that night.
What was it again? What was supposed to happen?
Dino and Burton on your podcast, when he mentioned they got in their fight.
Right. That's right.
I didn't realize that, but now I remember that night. But yeah, it was just for us, like, that. All we remember, like, was being really excited to be on a tour, like, with bands that we looked up to, and then just obviously that it's cool that we were able to become friends with you guys and stuff. And, like, you know, we were too young to, like, ever complain, right? You know, you don't get into, like, 2009, then you can start complaining about what's going on. But at this level, we're, like, stoked. It sucked, like, you know, sometimes there's not room on stage, but I'm like, dude, that's the fucking ropes. You got to go through it. You got to figure it out. But we're only, like, you know, I guess our difficulty was because we were a 6-piece band and tried to have too much gear on stage. Like, what are you guys doing? Like, El Nino had plenty of room. It's our dumbass with, like, why do we got a whole drum rack with us and, like, you know, like, all this extra excess gear. But you learn as you go on to be more efficient. You start getting better road cases to help you get on and off stages quicker. Like, Ozfest is the best, like, lesson in boot camp for how to get your shit together. Right. So
isn't that what you do right after? Do you do the next Ozfest?
We did. So that was we got to tour with Slayer on Pass Out, and then
oh shit! I was looking at the dates. I was like, holy! I mean,
the
there
God
was a
Hates
couple
Us
nights.
All tour. Yeah.
At least it looks like on the whatever the concert tour thing, it looked like there was a couple nights when you guys supported them.
We did the whole tour, God Hates the World tour, in
You
the U.S.
supported Slayer?
Yeah, we were there. That
That's
was like,
fucking insane.
so, dude, we played with Slayer in Jacksonville, Florida on Halloween night. That's all I really need to say. Like, that's like that, because if you think of the crowd in Jacksonville, Florida, then add Halloween, then add Slayer. You're like, okay, most crazy thing I've ever seen. Just
I was gonna
circle
say, wild
pits,
as
jump
fuck,
in,
right? Yeah, like,
yeah,
just
insanity. And but yeah, we it was us and American Head Charge, and we did the entire U.S. Got to play like some really big shows. It was a tough tour because, dude, I'll never forget. We played the Aragon in Chicago. That's a big fucking room, right? You know, it's like 5,000-6,000.
Yeah.
Maybe. I hope I'm not exaggerating, but
You're right.
It's massive. We play our whole set. Like, I remember starting the first song. The first song ends, and this is what it sounded like. With 4,000 or 5,000 people in the room.
I know. Just no one just like, nope, not giving you an inch.
I'm like, oh fuck. We sold one CD that night. Like, what?
Nice.
How low of a percentage is that for like what we won over in that crowd? Right? Like one.
That one guy though, he's probably still a fan.
Definitely. He's probably on my Twitch this morning or something.
He might be.
He's still holding it out. He's still holding it down.
I tell you what though, my first time playing the Aragon Ballroom with Slayer though was much different. I walked out to the entire front row, 300 people just flipping me off. Fuck you, Slayer! I was just all, holy shit. Like, I was like, oh my God, all right, let's do this. Fuck.
Dude, they're relentless.
Crazy. It was crazy. Like, so fucking, like, and like in some ways, if you could just, there's so much fucking negative energy that if you can just twist it a little bit, you can make it work to your favor. You know,
There were some good nights, but you know, we had to work so hard to, just get that inch from that audience. So that, another huge learning experience though, because what we learned from Slayer, then we went out with Kitty, and it was like,
wow.
It's just destruction on stage. Like, we were so oil. We had toured with you guys in Fear Factory, then Slayer, and then we went out with Kitty. And I think El Nino was on that tour as well. So we're back with El Nino again. But now we're Slayer razor sharp. We're like in a total different mindset now. Nothing's new metal anymore. Nothing's like, you just watched a month and a half of Slayer, and you're like, oh, okay. I need to do this. Correct. Yeah. And you guys, and
it really does sharpen. It really does sharpen your mind, though. Seeing, like just to watch somebody else do it. You know what I mean? Like night after night, like a band who's been, especially because at that point Slayer had been doing it for 20, 25 years or whatever. Like to go and watch them and be like, holy fuck! Like, this is what's possible. Like, this is what you can do. Like, because they were fucking ferocious. Is Paul in the band?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's God Hates Us All album. That tour, and they were playing. It was like a mixture of venues. Like, so
Jeff's in the band.
Yep.
This is still not Gary yet.
Correct. Yes. And we were playing a mixture of venues. Some of them were really big, but then some of them were like, it was like cool, like intimate club shows, like the Norva. Yeah. Right. Yeah. That's fucking sick. Play the Norva with Slayer. Holy shit. But then, you're doing like Universal Amphitheater though at the same time. So on the same tour, like the venue variation. So we got a great lesson in, oh my God, this stage is fucking the biggest stage I've ever been on. Like, how do I adapt to this now? Oh my God, I have so much room. And then like, oh shit, I'm winded by the time I try to get to the other side because I'm going too crazy. But that's the best. Going out with professional bands is the best best education you can get if you're actually sitting there and watching, and taking notes and learning. And
you broke down with Carrie pretty good too, right?
Yeah, he's a good dude. And I haven't talked to him in years, unfortunately. Like, again, just when I left music, like it's like I left music, right? Like I was just depressed about it all. But So I feel bad for like losing contact with a lot of people, especially him. But yeah, like he was just very welcoming right off the rip. Like first night of the tour, like, hey, our dressing room's here. Let's do shots. Like,
Yeah.
wow, this is so cool, right? Like getting to meet bands that you grow up and then they're nice to you. Like there's nothing better. So, and that's it was just a continuation, you know. You guys were cool, Fear Factory were cool, and now we're out with Slayer and they're cool. So that also taught us a big lesson, like be cool. So, and that's the simplest of lessons, but you don't know that so much when you're in the trenches, you know, with when you're fighting it out in the really small clubs and you're trying to get extra, you know, waters or something. It just becomes way too competitive, right? So it's a lot nicer once you start moving up the ropes. And yeah.
So you were saying that at this point the record is done, but Roadrunner's not happy with the sales or something, and so then you're getting ready to write for Impossibility.
Yeah.
And now you're probably pissed.
Correct.
But at the same time, you're like, you know, you just had all this fucking experience. Now your fucking minds are probably razor sharp. Like, okay, we need to fucking, you know, what's your mindset going into this record? Because this record's, I mean, still to me, even now, I just listened to it yesterday, and Colin Richardson did a fantastic fucking job on the production. Like, it's fucking heavy as fuck, dude.
Yeah, he's the man. Yeah, it was that mindset. You nailed it. Like, we had razor sharp focus and we were fucking pissed. Like, we had put everything into that album. We put everything into our tour cycling and put everything into just seeing a lot of, like, all the great stuff I mentioned. You know, I can just as many negative things as the equal amount, right? Like, oh, this happens or that happens or this happens. But so we had that anger. We had the anger of the album not doing well. We had the anger of like Roadrunner basically being like, you know, kind of pull the plug.
What did it sell when in the end?
I think probably 60 to 90 at the end of the day.
Right. Like, which any record company now would be like, oh my God, we're so fucking stoked. But like, they're bummed in 2000.
In 2000, it was probably resting around 40 to 50. I don't know. Not much. Right. And that was definitely, we had a very lucrative deal from them. So we blew our load. That's the best way, because the time Impossibility comes, they want to cut the budget in half.
The cost versus what it sold. Yeah, there's like an equation there.
Yeah. Basically, I remember just being like, we would send Monty demos originally, and he wasn't feeling it. And so that like just made me angrier. So then songs like Power Trip come out of it, and Dehumanizing Process. And it's not so much a fuck you to Roadrunner, but more or less like a fuck you to how we're feeling. Like, and it's like the industry as a whole, and like being beat by like. So
Kevin Estrada's not in it anymore. Now Monty's taken over.
Now Monty's taken over. Gotcha. Yeah. Sorry.
Right. Monty's your A&R.
Correct. I believe Kevin retired or moved on to a different career path at this point, and then Monty picked up the band.
Cool.
So
I often joke that we're all the children of Monte Conner.
We are, and
in one way or another.
I love Monty stories, right? There's so many that none of us can tell publicly, but there's so many great Monty stories. But yeah,
anyway,
we just
so
had piss and
now
vinegar.
You're pissed off. When is Power Trip near the beginning or near the end of the writing?
That's near the end. I mean, we had the song structure, but it was completely different, and it turned into something completely different. Pure Hatred was an earlier song, though. We had like Cleansation done. We had the title track done. Some of the later songs that came out of it though were Dehumanizing and Power Trip. Some of the other, I guess if you want to call them hits for the bangers for the fans.
Yeah.
But that album like was for us huge. Like, we didn't have the total budget, but we still had enough budget. You know, we were able to do what we needed to do and catapult us to the next plateau.
Yeah. I mean, that record, I'm trying to think when I saw you guys for the first time on that record, but I was like, holy shit. Like, Power Trip fucking blew me away. Still fucking crushes, just rips faces.
Yeah, because we changed quite a bit. You probably knew me with like an afro or just forming the early stages of the fro, maybe. And then by the time you see me again, I have dreadlocks, and we're like, we're not wearing like new metal clothes anymore. We're like way more like serious metal dudes. We just toured with Slayer, man. Check out the camo pants.
We're rocking camo shorts and Chuck Taylors now, damn it.
Fuck yeah, man. That's right. So, yeah, it was cool shit.
But,
and we got to go to Europe for the first time.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, this was a monumental, like, you toured with, I mean, you did Ozfest and you did the Kill Switch thing and you did, like, didn't you do, like, a bunch of fucking, I mean, a lot of touring on that record?
Yeah, we did some extensive touring with, we got to basically travel to quite a different places within Flames, which was great opportunity. They were massive in Japan and Australia. We got to do that with them, toured the States with them. We went out again on tour and had a lot of fun. Then we did Ozfest. Man. Now shit starts to blend together, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what else we did, but I remember In Flames was
we did
big.
So much. I don't remember what we did.
Yeah, it all becomes like what year was that? Like what album was that? Like what venue? Right. But we actually started to. Oh, Spine Shank was another band we toured with a lot. Spine Shank.
Okay,
that was the first band to take us under their wing. Like how can I not mention that? They were the first band on Roadrunner to take us under our wing. We did one of our first pass-out tours with them. We did our first European tour. They took us to Europe for the first time.
Oh, shit. Nice.
And they were, at the time, really popular in Europe. So we were getting to play, like, sizable venues, like a couple thousand seaters. So
yeah, that record did good, man.
It was the height of callousness, yeah. And they took us under our wing. We had the same manager. And Mikey was just a great dude. Like right before we were signed, we opened for them. They were like we were the local, direct support for the national band that comes through. And we played with them in Cleveland and Toledo, and they were on tour in Nonpoint. And so I met Mikey, and like, hey, we got the same manager, and we're just having fun that night, just chatting. And I just like, I don't know where I got the balls because this is not me, but I'm like, hey, can we do the rest of the tour with you? And like, I realized what kind of a Punisher question that is, like
that's ballsy. That's for sure ballsy.
But he's like, fuck yeah, let's do it. Okay. So we started just showing up to the shows, and we went on randomly just jumped on Spine Shank's tour and jumped on it for like the last 2 weeks unsigned. We went in cars. We were in a Ford Taurus and a Bronco.
Oh, that's fucking
But Monty
great.
heard about that, and he's like, these guys are fucking crazy. And we got $50 a night and, some water and some towels.
No beer. No beer for you.
No way. But like, man, we owe a lot to Spine Shank and to Mikey for like them doing that. They took us to Europe for the first time, and that, for impossibility of reason, it really did well. It did well in the States, but it really did well. You know how metal crowds are overseas. I don't have to tell you, but it really did well over there. And they're a big reason that we got the opportunity to actually play the music for the people. So bros, right?
That's awesome. Like, yeah. Shout out to Mikey.
Good dude. And Tommy. And I haven't talked to the singer in a long time, Johnny, but I still see Robb all the time on Facebook. And total random note, but I belong to like, the movie Rad, the BMX bikes. Mm-hmm. You remember that old movie from the 80s? I belong to a Rad BMX forum. And yesterday someone was posting on it named Robb Flynn. I'm like, whoa, you're on this too? And then I go and it's just some total other Robb Flynn. So anyway.
That's pretty random.
It was random, and I thought about it because I said I saw Robb on Facebook. So that's where the connection
Chris
is.
Contos is super into the BMX thing. Are you into the BMX thing?
So not in a sense where like I ride them, but like in a sense where I all of a sudden when Rad came out on 4K, I started like researching BMXs on Facebook Marketplace. I'm like, I need a fucking BMX. So for like the past like I don't know 8 weeks, I'm like just trying to get my hands on like a dope BMX bike. But other than that, I just want like an 80s bike, man, like and ride around my neighborhood. Nothing crazy, just
Love
fun.
that shit. Yeah, riding a bike's fun. My son just got a bike, and I'm same size. He's actually 6'3", so I can ride his bike.
Holy shit!
But it's fucking awesome to just cruise on a bike, dude. I'm like, oh my god, I haven't ridden a bike for so long. I'm like, fuck, this is so much fun.
That's kind of where I'm at. Like, I want to go do that, and it just looks like a lot of fun. And if I'm gonna ride a bike, I want like that shit from the 80s movies with the mags and the pegs, like I had when I was a kid. Yeah. So
badass. What after that, you guys come back. I think the third album is where we also toured together, where we did that 2004 or 2005.
We're still on Impossibility.
Yeah,
we were still on Impossibility when we did.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
No, you had Kevin when Kevin Talley was playing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Andals left the band halfway through the Impossibility cycle. We actually had 2 drummers during Impossibility. We had 3. Well, Andals, and then he left, and then we wound up taking the drummer from Soilwork when we toured with Soilwork and In Flames, and his name was Ricky. Ricky did Ozfest. No, Ricky did Slipknot with us. We toured with Slipknot on that tour. That's fucking
holy shit!
Yeah, massive.
Jesus Christ.
We got to do Slipknot and
the Jägermeister thing, right?
Correct. So and then Kevin jumped in. We got rid of Ricky, and 2 weeks before we were supposed to go on tour with you guys is when we got Kevin. So he was only in the band for 2 weeks.
Okay.
When we went out
Kevin
together.
Was? No.
Yeah, Kevin.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, at that point,
Correct. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that was a fun tour. Either way.
Dude, I just remember eating all the time with you guys and having a blast. We were always out eating like chicken and on the grill and stuff and just cooking and barbecuing.
Right,
and
we had Mud Billy doing the mud wings. And
yeah, I don't remember shit about the shows except that I just remember having a great time with everybody, and the camaraderie was top notch on that run.
Who else was on that bill?
Trivium, I believe. Trivium.
Oh, that's right. It was Trivium.
I think it was just Trivium.
A young unsigned Trivium. Or they maybe had the first Embers to Inferno thing out.
Yeah, or no, because we were a Road Rage, so they had to have been. Wasn't that a Road Rage tour?
They were signed, but I don't think the first record had dropped. Oh,
I feel you. Yeah. I feel you. Got it.
So it was just like young, cool hit band. Take them out. We're like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good shit.
And I still have the shirt.
That was still a possibility. Okay.
Yeah, because I have the Burn My Eyes shirt. I still have that, the 10th anniversary one.
That's right. We did the 10-year anniversary of Burn My Eyes on that tour.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. TLA. That was a good show. You came up and sang all the covers with us.
Correct. Yeah, we did Livewire,
Roots, Roots,
Creeping Death.
Sepultura.
Yeah, Creeping Death. We always did together. Yeah. Yeah, so that was like that touring cycle was, a peak for us up here.
And you do a great Phil Anselmo impression.
You know what the best?
Always stopping the band. Wait.
Hold the fuck on for a goddamn minute. You know what the best fucking thing about Minnesota is? Dallas kicks the shit out of them every time. That happened. Like he's in there. He was in like the wrong city, and he's like, you know what the best thing about fucking Minnesota is? And then like Don Pepper goes over and whispers in his ear, dude, you're in fucking Detroit. But the best save ever. Detroit kicks their ass every fucking goddamn night. That's what's up. What a good recovery.
That is a good recovery. That's a genius recovery right there. That's fucking good.
That story could be true or not. It's passed down secondhand, but it sounds real enough for me, so I'm going with it. And it sounds like Phil to me.
What as you go into your next few albums, I feel like I remember talking to you a couple times on this, and this is now the first time, and you and I had talked about this a couple times, even early on in I want to say your first tour that you did with us, but you talked about depression and stuff like that, and this is the first time that I've really noticed something in you. I had never noticed before, and I know that, I know you struggled with that, and we talked pretty openly about it. And I had told you that I had been to therapy, and that I dealt with many of the same things, and talked about that. And you were asking me like, what's it like? And I was just telling you my experience with it. But what's going on during these next few albums for you? Like mentally.
Yeah, it's tough to say, but I just think that if I'm to like look back at it and try to just have a general idea, I think that I just don't handle stress well. And that it can be minor stress. It could be, it still exists today and I mean literally today. Like, I looked at the clock and our email probably 5 times because I was like afraid that I was going to be late or get the wrong time. So that type of like, what if I'm late? So when you like throw somebody that's kind of like a worrier into the pit of the music industry and touring and all the stress that comes with it, I didn't know like that stress could play such an important and crazy role, but it started fucking me up, like where I would get really sick, vomiting before shows, or just bad stress like that, sadness. Like I didn't know what the fuck's going on, but and there's nothing to complain about, right? Like, dude, I'm living my dream. I'm fucking in England. I'm at some Metal Hammer Award show or something. I remember that night. That's a throwback. Nikki Sixx being there or something. Anyway, yeah, it's just, I'm not feeling it. I'm like, I start getting more introverted and, like, but then like I want to like be able to express that and articulate it better, because I'm always wanting to wear my heart on my sleeve in an album. So then that makes things worse because you have to bring it to the surface, and then like start dealing with it and things like that. And
right.
So then it gets harder. And then the self-titled album was just a overall difficult time period. On top of depression, I wasn't a believer in the album as it's being written. And we had a lot of success with Impossibility, and it's almost like you expect to take that same journey. And Robb had a different journey with a lot of the songs he was writing. He kind of wanted to go back into more complex, longer arrangements. And I'm just like, oh man, I wasn't feeling it. So I'm like, my heart's not invested, and I'm like forcing it. I didn't get along with Kevin too well. Now I think he's a great dude, but at the time, like our personalities just clash. He's like rootin' tootin', fuck yeah, woo. And I'm like, you guys want to watch Seinfeld? And, when you know me for real, you're like, how the fuck was this dude ever in a metal band? Like, cause I'm like, not the guy you expect to go and try to like command 10,000 people on any given night. But, I can barely get out of the fucking mall parking lot without getting lost. So yeah, I just depressed and not happy. Nothing can make me happy. Roadrunner doesn't like the album, the self-titled album. The songs are too long. There's nothing they can promote. Touring is not as good. We're not getting these like giant Slipknot tours. We're out with instead we're out with Dark Tranquillity. And I'm like, it's nothing against Dark Tranquillity, but it's like, that's a step down in terms of the size of venues and the capacity. And so we're just bummed. Like I'm depressed and like that whole cycle, like I literally tried to sleep an entire tour away where okay, I'm off stage. Cool. I'm going to eat and I'll watch a movie, and then I'm going to take a Tylenol PM and try to sleep the entire day until we
day away.
Yeah, because I don't want to be up
until we play.
Correct.
Right. And that happens. I think most people would be surprised to know how often that happens in bands. Like that is a very, I can times when I've done it, other band guys have done it. Like they just want to sleep that whole tour away, and they're hard to be around. Like it's hard to be around.
Absolutely. And yeah, I just, like there are road dogs. Like I consider you a road dog, like
I'm a
you are
road dog.
fucking built for the road. Like I smell it in you. uh, I don't have that. I'll do it because I want to. But if I don't want to, I'm not going to. So
Yeah.
there's the maybe the big difference, right? Like you're built for it. I forced myself into it and I loved doing it. But then like the shock of leaving it was too much to get back into it, right? So like depression just kept mounting. We'd have too many highs and lows. It's like, okay, pass out fails. All right, we come back with Impossibility. Okay, Impossibility does good, but now the next album's not going to do well. Okay, it's a low. So we don't even want to be on Roadrunner anymore. So now we're like, well, fuck that. Let's do Resurrection. Resurrection does really, really well. Puts us again into that limelight we want to be in. And then, all right, now we have another album coming out, same label. So label's like, you know what? It's like, we're going to sell the company. And it's like right in the peak. We're in an arena tour. We finally make it. We're Disturbed. And now kids can't find the records in stores because now Ferret's going to sell their whole label. Like, it just keeps like, it's a lot of those. And
people don't realize how much those type of decisions that go on. The average fan doesn't know any of that shit. Like they just know that they can't find your record and then they just move on. Like it's not like they're on the hunt for it. If they go in to find it and it's not there, they buy somebody else and there you go. Like,
right. Yeah. So that kind of stuff,
those decisions those are hard.
Yeah. And you keep getting hit. And like I said, some people are meant to weather those storms and some people can and some people can't. I tried and I kept trying. Yeah. And then by 2014, I broke.
You tried a lot. You tried a lot. I mean, you had your whole band quit. You got a whole new band
and then they
behind you. Yeah. We did the Australia dates though. And you had the whole new band. Yeah. It was still you, like an entirely new band. And like, you kept going. Like that's, there's something to be said for that. Like, it takes a lot of drive and a lot of grit and a lot of determination and a lot of courage, like you were withstanding, a fucking shit ton of people talking shit.
Yeah.
Like going, oh, fucking, it should be this or whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, it's
no Lamarca, no Chimera.
That was the biggest complaint out of all of them, right? Like no one cared that Robb left.
Everybody's Jim.
Yeah. They're like, Robb who?
The funny guy. Where's the funny guy? They miss Summer Breeze DeVries too. Got to give a shout out to Summer Breeze DeVries.
Oh yeah, always, dude. He and I, like, you want to talk about like nerdy shit metal fans? Like, really, that's what the guys at Chimera do? Like, we play like text pool, like these little game pigeon apps. I play pool or darts with DeVries all the time. We're like, playing bar games together but yeah, he's a great dude. Like, I love all those guys. And like the reason like I don't want to go back out and do it and like why it was hard even doing it with a second band is because like I put all my eggs into that basket, like that's what I did. That's what I set out to do and what I wanted to do. And like the thought of anything else just wasn't appealing. And it was difficult having the second lineup because as fun as it was and like those dudes are so fucking talented. And I learned a lot about music, Jesus, from those guitar players, like next level, right? Emil Wursler is just crazy good. Yes. I just kept having this feeling like these aren't the dudes I've been sitting in the shit with for 20 years. Like, why am I climbing these mountains? Like I didn't have a reason. And I felt that. And like, I felt such a bad disconnect with the ex-band members. Like you can't even sleep right. So yeah, it was just very stressful, like, to end, and know that like, that's like, you're walking away from it. And I couldn't even like listen to music for like probably a year, but I'm jumping too far ahead, but yeah, that's where it starts. That cycle. I was
going to say I remember being on that tour and we did the sound wave together and we did some offside waves or whatever too.
Right.
But I remember talking to you a couple times and you were, I don't know how you view your mental state at this point, but you were like, you were really into acid and mushrooms, and like you're like I started smoking weed and fucking. You were just like, I was listening to you, like you sat there like, and I was like, holy shit, this motherfucker's going all out. And I was like, I think you were single at the time, and you were like, I'm gonna fuck out. Like, have you had sex on mushrooms? I'm like, I have. It's great. Maybe this is another time.
No, I wasn't single, but I had definitely just discovered acid and just discovered having sex on acid. So we would have had that conversation. But
right. Maybe I'm thinking of another. Was there ever like a slutty Mark Hunter period?
Not really. No, really. Only maybe not for really. Like a week. I was with my one girlfriend forever. You remember Jen, and then we broke up, totally. And then I had like a week.
You were a slut for a week. I
was a slut for a week, and then I met Lauren, and I've been with Lauren for like 13 years now. We came to see you guys. I think you met her once when you guys were out in Metallica when we drove to Detroit to see you guys.
Super nice, yeah.
And so that's the whole reason I went down that path is like that's that self-exploration phase. Like, why did my band leave me? Like, I need to fucking figure out what the hell's wrong with myself. I need to like learn about myself. I need to be self-aware. And I went on the whole philosophy kick, in which, and depression too. Like, people are curing depression with hallucinogens and,
curing depression. Yeah.
Correct. I'm hearing, and this is still like early days of Joe Rogan, but I'm an early listener, man, and he was always talking way back in the day about the benefits of psychedelics and and I had never done drugs. You started doing MDMA at this point? No,
that's right. You
never did anything.
You didn't. I don't think you smoked weed when we first started touring, did you?
No, never. I drank occasionally, but even that, like I suck at it, right? Like I throw up the next day, and I'm always sick, and just I don't feel good at it. But man, when I discovered weed, like I'm sitting here right now, I'm just like looking at this thing, like I want to hit it. Like I fucking love weed. No. I love the fucking weed. But
fucking vape out. That can feel good. Like this is no fucking regrets, bro. You can do whatever, talk about whatever you want, do whatever you want. Like if this
I got a prescription. I'm allowed.
Yeah. Yes.
But I discovered it, and like I felt finally, like for whatever reason, it helped me get in touch with things that were bothering me, things that I needed to work on. Excuse me. All the stuff that it's supposed to do, right? Excuse me.
Yeah. It's funny because I went through that whole, and it was totally not at all for self-exploration. I mean, I went through the whole acid, mushrooms, weed
just
thing
for fun.
Like 14 or whatever. So I was like, let's do acid. Okay, let's do mescaline. Woo!
I was terrified.
I think in retrospect, it might have been better if I had done it for exploration, self-exploration, because I just did it. And then, most of the time I had good trips, like I had good acid trips or good mushroom trips or good mescaline trips. It probably wasn't even mescaline. It was just like what the Mexicans at my high school sold, which is microdots.
Right.
Probably just acid on top of some little dot of powder. But I had a couple of really bad trips early on. And so that kind of affected my, it scared me. Like, it was just like, whoa, this is too, like, I don't know if I can handle this all right now. Like, if I do it, I got to do something kind of micro or small, because I just was too affected by it. Though I continued to do it for many years, even after this.
Right.
But you had it like you were probably like what, 30?
I was in my 30s. I'm like 35, 36 even. 38 maybe.
Yeah, like so you're late. In your mid 30s, and then suddenly mid-30s. You're just like, I'm gonna do fucking mushrooms, and you're talking about.
I went balls deep. I turned into Terrence McKenna overnight.
You did.
I'm like,
you really did.
The clockwork elves in the DMT land. Once you've had enough psilocybin to enter your.
It was kind of like you did like affect this like it was not a character, but it was just like this
like Superman as a kid. I told you, man, since I'm a kid.
I was like, you're partying, aren't you? And I was like, they're like, we should do some. I'm like, no, like, I'm good.
Dude,
Like,
we were so stoned. Like that whole band, that whole lineup just loved weed. Like without, like that's totally different from the original Chimera. Like the Chimera 2.0, as it's referred to, was a very psychedelic version of the band. But yeah, I felt
I think in some ways, I think it seems like it was good for you in a lot of ways, like
100%. You mentioned the bad trip. My first trip was fucking horrible.
Really?
I still get the when I start talking about it, but like it started off amazing, like the connection to nature. I'm on this.
What are you on? What's your first
acid.
trip? What are you on?
Acid.
Okay.
I do I don't know what the dose is, but it's a piece of paper, basically a blotter. And we're on this beautiful daylily farm. And, like maybe hour 3, like shit's just rad, like the flowers, everything's cosmic. Whoa, trippy. Like it just feels good. Like I feel really stoned. Like it's not like crazy, but like I feel like I took a fuckload of weed or something, almost like a heavy edible.
Who are you with?
A bunch of hippie friends. Like I have these hippie friends that are in like some, not jam bands, but like, I don't know, hipster bands. That's the best way to say it, my hipster friends. And
your friends, like people.
But I'm not saying, I'm not like
your girlfriend, not your girlfriend.
She's there, but she's my babysitter.
Right.
And unfortunately.
Good call.
You're going to love this, where this story ends, by the way. So first few hours, I'm loving this. And like, I'm in the mindset, like I'm going to do acid every day. This feels fucking awesome. Like I've never felt this cool. And then like, I don't know, it starts to become like dusk and the sun's starting to settle. And I get this like religious moment, if you had the religious moments on the psychedelics where you're like, oh, I feel like God or something. Like I have this moment. And 10 seconds later, the devil shows up in that same like consciousness state. Like there's no physical.
My bad trip, like in the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Go on. I don't want to talk about my trip.
Oh no. But So, and then the worst thing is, it's the 4th of July, and they start lighting off fireworks, like real ones, and I'm like, oh! I start like fucking throwing up. I'm like puking. I'm fucking freaking out. I'm like, this is fucking terrible.
Shit.
So I'm like, Lauren, take me home. Lauren, take me home. Take me home. Take me home. So she takes me home. And now I'm probably into like hour 12 of this trip, and I am fucking out of it. Like,
oh my God, it still hasn't worn off yet, huh? That's a long time.
I'm full blown by this point. And I don't know, around 6 a.m., I decide to play Shine On You Crazy Diamond and take off all of my clothes and play the solo on my dick.
Oh my God, that's
my first
great.
trip on acid.
I don't think I've ever played a solo on my dick.
Well, try it. It's awesome.
I know what I'm doing tomorrow.
But then I woke up. I was
have
still
a couple of brown eyes and play a solo on my dick.
Try it.
You must have a pretty big dick.
No, I had a hard on. Like I was like, so I had a hard on all of a sudden. So I start playing on my dick, and then. But the worst thing is I woke up. I was still fucking tripping, and I thought I was never going to get out of it. So like I'm jumping on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, what the fuck? I'm trying to like look up like Timothy Leary bad what to do.
Cures.
Like, what to do on like if you're having a bad trip. And finally, I just called a friend that had Xanax, and that got me out of it. But I thought I would never do it again. And then like a month later, I'm like, let's do some more acid.
I was going to say after that, I don't know, after that trip, I wouldn't be like, let's do it again. But you did. Because probably because, and then like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm going to assume it was because that first 3 hours was so fucking magical for you, right?
Kind of. There was that. Yes, that feeling is kind of irreplaceable unless you're on something like that. But the bad shit that happened, I don't know what it was, but it rewired my brain in a weird way. And I felt like from that moment on, I have since been walking on the left side of the road. But my whole life before acid, I was on the right side of the road.
Okay.
So
did you feel like that after, like in the days following, did you feel like, whoa, like
still
I had
to this
something?
day,
Yeah.
like I feel like something like, I don't know, like turned on, differently, a whole different perspective on life. I got way more interested in science. I'm like way into nutrition and science and the science of nutrition, like all shit I would never really care about. Way more interested in music, way more interested in art, hearing things differently, performing differently. Like,
was this around the time that you started working out? Like I remember you started working out at one point. You got pretty bulked
I
up.
got I got yoked, and then I became like the stoner hippie guy, and then like lost it. Then I got yoked again, and then I got cancer, and now I'm a stoner hippie guy again. So it's kind of the cycle. That stuff was just enlightening in the sense of like it flipped my perspective. Listening to those lectures and reading books and stuff from people like Terrence McKenna and Leary, it changed my mind. But then like I also stopped. Like then there was a point where I'm like, I don't know that I even
how was your next trip?
That one was good. That's the good, like sex melting into my girlfriend. Yeah. Like listen to Glitch Mob and you're like, ooh, this is this is magical. We're one, but
I was going to say, I don't know if I've had sex on, I'm trying to think if I've had sex on acid. I don't know if I have. I'm not sure if I have.
Well, I had a good time.
I gotta think about it. Yeah.
A+ would recommend. 10 out of 10 would recommend. It felt like melting into one.
Do you recommend
body.
Playing a guitar solo on your hard-on?
Yes. I don't recommend playing drums though, because I try to do that too. I'm like, they're moving away from me. They're moving away from me. Like trying to play.
Using your cock as a drumstick.
Oh, no. I'm sorry. I try to play drums while on acid.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, no, that's my mallet beater, right? But yeah, that's I've always wanted to tell that story in a public setting. I'm so glad I got that out there.
That you told it here. I'm so fucking glad you did too.
I mean, you're the only person I feel comfortable enough sharing that story with, because you get it. You get me. You get that, and you get me, and you get what it's like to be on acid and not really know what the fuck you're doing. You do, but you don't.
I mean, I had a lot of great acid experiences too. A lot of like that were all positive and just all like I couldn't stop laughing and my cheeks were just in pain from laughing so much and shit like that.
Right. It's not all bad.
You went on a pretty big. I remember, you went on maybe a couple of years where you were taking it fairly regularly, right?
Not so much regular. Cannabis is like, I probably went way too far with that. Like there's been days where I'm like, okay, like how much can I consume? But now I've mellowed out with that too. I've mellowed out with everything. I haven't touched a psychedelic in years, and I don't really listen to the philosophy so much anymore. And like
it was something that you needed at the time.
I needed it to get through, to understand myself and like what I needed to do to improve myself, or at least I thought. And a lot of that stuff, like, I can even like point out like where I'm wrong, like, oh, that philosophy's wrong, dude. You were wrong in 2012 too. You're wrong there in 2013. So I think of that whole time as a very beneficial learning experience. There are so many positives that came out of it. And it's not like, growing up in school where they show the fucking egg and it's going to fry your brain. Like if anything, it turned on more receptors than had ever been turned on before. I got quicker at learning things. Like, I don't want to make it sound like a super drug or anything, because it's not it's the last thing I would ever tell someone to take. It's a very fucking dangerous chemical. But for me, like, it had negative effects. Absolutely. But it opened up things that I didn't know existed in me that were never turned on before. Never. Appreciation of music. You know who told me about acid? Told me I would love it was Ted Jensen, of all people, the guy that mixes like Pantera, masters
the mastering guy.
Yeah, of all people, right? When I started smoking weed and we were mixing our first album, not the first album, but The Infection. That was the first album I had been a smoker on. I'm like, hey man, where do the rappers go when they come in here to, I guarantee there's no rapper is not smoking their blunts while they're in the mastering room. So I'm like, is it cool?
Right.
Like, where do we go? Right. And he's like, oh, da, 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 da. He shows me exactly where to go. So I come back and he's like, oh, you like the cannabis, huh? And Ted's kind of a proper dude, right? And he's just like, you should try acid, man. You'd probably really dig it. And it was just very nonchalant like that. I'm like, really? He was right.
You're like, you do acid? Fuck yeah, that motherfucker's done acid. He mastered Hotel California, for fuck's sake.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my
he
God.
mastered Hotel California. He's an old school rocker, whatever you want to call him. Stoner.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, he told me about it.
I love him. I love Ted Jensen. He's awesome.
Absolutely. I don't know if I should have just thrown him under the bus like that, but
No.
But yeah. So I'm thankful for it, but I also think that it was a good time to move on, and you mentioned like the two bands, like the second time, like I can't just jump into more acid and more drugs to try to figure out what the fuck happened this time. So like that was just like I quit everything. I didn't even smoke weed. So I went the complete opposite route when the band ended and sobered the fuck up,
Yeah. And that's good
weird.
too. Like I think,
neither,
it's funny.
neither really helped.
What's that?
Like neither really helped,
Yeah. Well, I watched your, and if anybody who's listening to this right now, if you haven't seen the documentary that you put out, I think you put out, or I'm not sure who put it. I watched your documentary, down again last night. And, it's about your, journey from band guy to then, finding this passion in photography while dealing with depression and, like the things that you've dealt with and what you were going through. And, in a lot of ways, I was watching that and, it's such a bold move that you did. And I got to applaud you for, just making this choice and sticking with your guns. And, you quit the music business and you're like, this is what I'm doing. And I'm going down this route, and as somebody who's known you, I didn't like you because you were in a band. I just liked you because I liked you, so whatever you do in your life, I'm happy for you, whatever you do, as long as you're happy, I'm happy for you because fucking that's all that matters. Whether you're in a band or whether you're doing photography or whether you're fucking, okay, not if you're dealing acid, but like if you're like,
I feel you. Yeah.
But it was like, it was such a, it was such a powerful thing to watch and go, wow, because, I was sitting there listening to you and you're just like, some days I'm just like a fucking snake coiled up and I'm fucking full of misery. And then the fucking next day, like I'm fucking the happiest. And I was just like, is that a bad thing? Like, don't tell me that's a bad thing, Mark.
Yeah,
I was like, I feel like that, like just 9 times a day, like every day, I feel like I've got many of the things that you feel, and I feel like a lot of people have it, like the things that you were talking about. And, I just wanted to kind of pick your brain about everything that you said. I guess maybe that's a couple of years old at this point. Maybe you feel differently now, but I just really, I related to it because I felt like there's been so many times when I wanted to quit the fucking band. There's been so many times when I wanted to walk away from this, like where I doubted myself and still doubt myself, like just going through this and the ups and downs of the music business and people's tastes in changing music and, just all of it and just wondering if it's worth it all or what,
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. It came about through the filmmaker Nick Cavalier. He is a Cleveland boy and started becoming a filmmaker, and he made a great documentary about Derek Hess, the artist from Cleveland that has drawn so many infamous posters for stuff, and it's a similar vibe. Derek struggles with alcoholism, and it kind of focused on his life story. And because of Derek's commitment now to mental health, he put on a mental health festival in Cleveland, and he asked if Chimera would play it. This is 2017, and I'm like, I can't tell anybody in the world that we have a show. We were secretly working on a reunion show, And but I'm like, no, but you know what? I would love to be a part of this festival. I have what's known as hypomania. Hypomania is a form of bipolar. It's basically CEO's disease. That's a good way to call it, right? So it's functional bipolar. It's not the type of bipolar where you are required to be hospitalized, for example, because you've had a full-blown manic episode. I teeter on what's known as mania, meaning like, even in this conversation, there's been moments where I'm like, I'm becoming manic. I'm talking more and swiftly. And then sometimes it just gets to an almost uncontrollable level. So that's where I need like medication and other things to come in to help. So we did this mental health fest together, and Nick said he wanted to make a film because he was a huge Chimera fan growing up, and our music helped him through depression. And he actually has the bipolar that put him in the hospital. And so this was kind of his like way to esoterically tell how music and art can help those struggling with mental health to, no matter what they're doing, whether it be music or photography or a combination of the two, like we're all struggling through some stuff, and some of us have it harder than others. Like, I mean, on my scale of bipolar, like when he asked me to be a part of this, I'm like, me? Like, dude, there are people way worse than, struggle way harder than I do. Like I have fucking good compared to so many people. But he explained it, and like how like the band and being part of the band like helped him. So like, that's not something I wanted to turn down. If our music helped this individual and now he wants to help others with our music and a similar message. So it was great to be a part of, and it's difficult to like, I guess, put it out there because it leaves you open for, I don't care about like scrutiny of fans or some, kind of shit like that, but like, we're old dudes. Like this could fuck up my insurance or something. Like, what is it? You can start thinking about like life insurance, and you start thinking about like how, the government might in the future change something where a mental health can like fuck you in the future.
Right.
So it has nothing to do with has nothing to do with putting it out there.
Even the medication
Correct.
that you take, that happened with my wife. She went on antidepressants for a while, and she was like, whatever, I can't even remember the name now. I'm brain farting, but she doesn't qualify for it anymore because she's a risk, it's precondition or
pre-existing condition.
Yes, that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I have a license to smoke cannabis to help me with all of my health ailments, but I can't buy a gun because now I have cannabis, and it's against the law to have a medicinal marijuana license and possess a firearm. So I'm not a gun guy. I've never even fired a gun. Like, I don't care. Like, the closest I've ever gotten to a gun is like some toy gun I bought as a kid when I thought I was Rambo. But at the same time, like, like I'm getting older, like it's not a bad thing to have around the house for protection. So, but at the same time, I don't care. I don't want one. But like that, just the long story short, putting that type of information out there, I don't know what type of risk that was going to put me in. Thankfully, it didn't put, knock on wood, it hasn't put me in one, but it was just a nice experience. But that's, I guess, the only, if I were to say anything bad about it, is like, will this ever affect me in the future? I don't think so. So my risk is very low, so I'm just happy that people enjoyed it and they got something out of it. And the messages I got from people that watched it, the common thing was that it put them in a position where they were comfortable to go and seek help.
That's awesome.
So mission accomplished on both of our, Nick, and that's what we wanted. So
that you can inspire people to do that and make them feel safe to do it.
All we wanted was people to have a conversation. That was our initial goal.
Yeah.
So,
it's really well done.
They killed it.
Well done.
Yeah. The director of photography, Tyler, he's so sick. Like his shots are just creamy, and I follow him now on social media, and like everything he's putting out is just awesome. But yeah, Very fortunate, and very fortunate they were there to be able to film the reunion show, because that was a great night. That night was so important for us because we had not been friends for a long time, and it took us a year and a half to put that show together. And I would say the first 6 months was talking. You know, like,
Wow. Good
hey,
for you
shit,
guys.
I haven't talked to you in 5 years. What the fuck's going on, right? You know, so
Yeah.
that was the biggest part of it.
Working through your baggage and working through, you know, old stuff,
Correct.
band stuff.
Yeah, like, and you start to discover, like, you know, like I go on these like long-winded psychedelic trips to try to figure it out, and then like you realize it's something you didn't even think about, right? It's kind of like, do you ever watch Silicon Valley when the beginning the guy goes out to the desert to take mushrooms to come up with the name for the company, and he just comes back fucked up? That's kind of how I felt. I went on this whole psychedelic trip to come back and like realize that it wasn't just my fault. It's not just that. Everyone was getting beat up. Everyone had personal issues going on. But I really felt, as the worrier I am, like I am the sole fucking reason. And I put that on myself. And that's
Internalized it.
Yeah,
You
I internalized
these
it.
issues, yeah.
And then that led me to these drugs to try to like understand.
I'm sure it helped you process it in a way or something.
It did.
You know?
Yeah, it did. Yeah. But maybe not correctly at first. It was like, it took the drugs, and then after, like, wait, was that the right decision? Like, I don't know. But life, you get older. I think it's just age. Man, you know, our prefrontal cortexes, you know, we're not adults till we're like fucking 25, 27 years old. We don't know what the fuck we're doing.
I just had this conversation with my teenager.
Oh, yeah?
I was like, you're not going to think straight till you're like 25, so don't think that you know everything, pal.
Yeah, exactly.
Prefrontal cortex.
Yes. It's not developed yet. Damn it.
You don't understand that, but you will in 10 years.
It's weird though, you know, that the stress of a band, like I said, some people have it in them, some people don't. And if you're someone that's internalizes things like I do, you're going to have a fucking bad time. And
I mean, I do too. I mean, like, I related to so many things you were saying. I think, and I think a lot of us do. I think with a band, the thing that's hard to process if you're not in a band is that it's like living 5 lives. You know, like you're condensing 5 lifetimes into, you know, like just this, you know, a handful of years, what people would live in like 15 years. You know, you live in 3. Yeah. And because there's just so much, you're traveling and you're living together, you're living 24 hours a fucking day with, you know, no less than 10 people, you know, if not, you know, more than that. You know, and 5 of them are your band members, or 4 of them are your band members, or whatever. And it's like, you know, you just, in order for the show to go on, you just bury shit.
Yeah.
You know, you fucking bury shit, you know, or the show suffers, you know? And so in order for the show not to suffer, you bury shit. You don't talk about shit. You don't want to deal with it. You'll talk about it when you get off the road. And then that never happens because you're fucking pissed and you don't want to fucking talk to him or them or whoever, you know what I mean? And so I think
our biggest, sorry.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Our biggest fight, like, just like you said, you bury it or the show suffers. One of our biggest blowouts was when one of our biggest shows in London, like right before we had to go on, like we were supporting Trivium, there's sold out. And we're just up there like bickering over the stupidest shit. And our light guy called us out. He's like, you guys are fucking stupid. I'm sitting here. You guys have the fucking, you're in a great position. The show's sold out. You're killing it in merch. You're doing all this shit. And you guys are fucking acting like assholes. He called us out. And I just remember like just being so angry, but having to like hide that from an audience is so fucking hard. You know, like if you're internally fighting with your band dudes, you know, it's like, hey, fucking London, how you guys doing tonight?
It's not hard for me. Yeah.
Well, you're lucky.
I know what you mean, though.
Yeah, but you got to put on a front. It's a total bullshit front, and it's like it's difficult for like You can do
Really?
it. Yeah,
You
absolutely.
think it's difficult? I
I
think
don't
as the
know.
singer, I think more than anybody as the singer, it's like so much of it is about like you could be having the worst fucking show. It could be a fucking lame crowd, or you got some fucking shit going home, or your dog died, or your fucking mom, like, and you've got to go up there and be like, "What's up? This is fucking awesome."
Yeah.
Like that's your job. That's your fucking job. Like in some ways, you put on that mask and you have to wear
You
that
have to
mask,
wear
and
it.
it is a mask. It's just a mask, like that's how I have processed it. Like when I go up there, regardless of whatever bullshit I got going on, band fights, wife fights, divorce, whatever is going on, you know it's like it's got to go.
Yeah. And it's even more on the fans too, right? Afterwards, like you're having a horrible day, but then you get the fans coming up and you're like, "Ah, man, now I got to turn it on for them too. Right. And like be cool.
Totally.
Right. So,
Because
um,
they don't know, like
yeah.
they don't know.
And it took a long time for me to even be self-aware enough about that. I probably didn't even get that until 10 years into the fucking career of the band. Like, yeah, there were definitely instances where like I wasn't able to hide it as well or something, right? Or I wasn't even able to put on that mask. So I gradually learned how to do it. But I would just prefer the harmony, and I think everyone would,
Yeah,
but it's just impossible. It's
of course.
fucking impossible. There's no way when
Yeah.
you're married to 5 different people, like, and then you have to have all the cousins around, like roadies.
Right.
It's like
And it's a sexless marriage.
it's a
There's no
sexless
sex.
marriage. Yeah.
Music is your sex.
Wait, you're not supposed to bang the band guys? You guys don't do that? Oh,
You and Lamarca.
yeah.
Who's the
We
top?
got.
Lamarca or
Oh, I like it when he's on top. We got in a good fist fight, Jim and I, on tour before.
Did you?
Yeah, we got in a
That's
good
awesome.
one. But it was so stupid. We were playing in Denver, and his bass cabinet was aimed at a way that was just right into my ears, and it's right in my direct line of sound. And all I hear is
Right.
his bass, and I can't hear the kicks, I can't hear the snare, I can't hear what's going on. So I just walked right over like a total asshole, and I'll admit I'm a total asshole. I just went and turned his rig
You
off.
turned it off. Didn't even turn it down. Just turned it off.
I just turned it off. And he gets like so mad, and then like he starts yelling and blah blah blah, and then we get back in the bus, and he's yelling at me, I'm yelling at him, and for whatever reason, again, I'm a total dickhead right here. I spit at him.
Oh my god!
And he just lunged at me, dude, right through the hallway, and he's just fucking pounding on me, and like it was great. The whole band, no one breaks it up. You look over, and Robb and everyone's like on the couches, like, yeah, go, fight, go. Yeah, exactly. That's the worst thing that's the only fight that ever happened, but it's because I spit on him.
That's fucking great.
Like a total dickhead. Yeah. So.
And you and Jim are super bros now. He's even
Absolutely.
He's even in the movie, cutting your hair, cracking jokes.
Cuts my hair. I did his website for his business. He's a barber now, and I see him, every 2-3 weeks when I go in and got to get the tight fade. He's been cutting my hair since I was 16 years old. So,
Badass.
And the funny thing is he asks me what I want every time. What do you think I want? I haven't changed it in 16 years. But Jim, he's got to be fucking with me. What are you getting this time? I'll take the Jerry curl, man.
We've been talking for 3 hours.
Yeah, man. I figured it's probably time to wrap up soon. But
awesome.
I figured it would go a long time because we're old mates and there's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, man, for sure. It's been great. You've been great.
Absolutely.
This is awesome. I
appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a hell of a story, man. I enjoyed hearing, so much of it, and I'm really happy for you that you found this new passion in photography. Like I'm really, that it's still art and it's still creative and it's still you being, locked into that, and it's great.
And it's leading me back to music. And I think Twitch is helping me lead back to music too. So, like I said, this whole year's been about rediscovering, and the fact that 2 weeks ago, I didn't want to even think about singing on a Twitch cast. And then yesterday I did a 7-song set. So
nice.
It's really pushing me towards being creative again in that retrospect. So hopefully I can get inspired to actually write something. I haven't been too inspired like to write. Like I feel like, I don't know. Did I miss my window? Right? Like, I don't know.
No.
So
there's always, you can always put out music. You can always.
I got to
write.
get over that hump.
Even if it's just fucking poetry, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Don't put. If anything, this is probably the best time for you to do it because we're all in a fucking lockdown and nobody can tour. And like the pressure's off. Like just put it out now. Like that's
honestly,
all you can do is just put it out and fucking hope that it does something.
Yeah. That helped. Like my quarantine project was I covered the theme from Conan the Barbarian, and I did that, and I learned how to use Logic and program MIDI and all this fun shit. That's kind of what I did the whole quarantine, and so I put that out, and now I'm working on the theme from A Clockwork Orange. I'm gonna do the Fletch theme, I think. Just a bunch of like fun side. Just learn other styles of music, like orchestral shit. You went on that trip, yeah? Like that whole deep dive. So I never went on it, so I'm kind of starting it and learning. Like I love musical score. That's probably the genre I listen to the most. Like Johan Johansson or Clint Mansell or Hans Zimmer. People that are doing like horror movie soundtracks. That's probably my favorite.
Oh yeah,
genre.
Shit's sick. So fucking Absolutely. So many layers and so many different levels of things happening. Like I can geek out on that shit hard. It's killer.
Absolutely. Next time.
Another
3 hours.
Yeah. Well, it's 3 hours on classical music.
Hell yeah, man. Well, hey, it's always a pleasure to see you. And, I think before we go, though, do you think we both had COVID? Because we just saw each other in February and we both left.
Yeah.
Dude, I was sick.
We didn't know it then.
Right.
And after I saw you, I had to cancel the next show in Detroit because I fucking devastated, dude.
Dude, I was sick for weeks. And I didn't want to, I was like, I was so scared to go to that show. I'm wearing gloves the whole time. I had sanitizer in my hand. I'm like, I know it's not here, but I'm fucking freaked out. Like I'm
you sick?
No, I got sick the day after.
You got sick after. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I saw you guys canceled. I'm like, okay, well, I got what they got. None of us know that it's COVID, but dude, I feel like it was COVID. I had that.
We went through New York City when it was the epicenter. Me and my wife stayed a day extra. We went and fucking raged on the town. Like I must have been licking COVID fucking toilet seats. Like fucking, I mean, seriously, like we were fucking raging. And then I flew through Toronto airport, which there was probably 1,500 people in the fucking visa passport line. I mean, all crammed in, everybody coughing and fucking, I was like, holy shit. Everybody got sick. 3 days and then my tour, which I didn't know, so we had to cancel the Detroit show, played Chicago because it was just a big payday, it was sold out, and then canceled the next show because I was still, both Logan and I and everybody in the band, everybody in the crew fucking laid out, dude. I mean, like devastated. Logan, who is like the fucking best shape of any human being that I know, he was like, this is the sickest I've been in a decade. Like I can't.
Wow.
And our tour manager got tested when he got home back to England, because at this point, we didn't have testing in America, and he had the coronavirus. Yeah. And it was like, he had the same shit that we all had for the same amount of time. And it was like, it was the fucking coronavirus.
So then I had it for sure, because I was after your show, I was held up for 2 weeks, and then like same with my lady. And we were both like, we were looking at our texts and we're just like, should we go to the hospital? No. What are they going to do for us? Because no one had tests yet. So, but it was right at that moment. It's like the end of February, right? So we were just there. We all knew about it, but it's not in America yet. Yeah, it is, dude. It's fucking everywhere. So then we were held up.
We were a little traveling party of it everywhere.
Yeah,
it's fucking horrible.
I don't want to end on being sick, but that was the last time we saw each other, and it was brief.
It was a great hang.
Yeah, it was a great hang, as brief as it was, and you guys killed it. And it's good to actually sit down and be able to chat like we haven't been able to in quite some time. So I appreciate the time,
dude. Thank you very much for being on No Fucking Regrets.
Wow, thank you for having me.
Really appreciate it,
ladies and gentlemen. Right there, the man, the metal Moses. Marcus O'Hunterus here on No Fucking Regrets with Robb Flynn.